What is up, everybody? I forgot that I had the standby screen on that entire time. Professional streamer, by the way. Anyway, Lostbelt 4 time. So yeah, I really want to beat Lostbelt 4 because I want to get Asclepius. So we'll see how this goes. Alright, let's see. What do I need to do here? Check a few things.
時間は戻らないものだ。最終確認はしっかりしたかい?
Trying to think, who I want to level for this. So I probably can level at least one or two people.
まだ見ていく? Yeah.
Okay, so we got Martha. I'm thinking Medea. I don't really need Medea for this story at all, but I'm gonna need her for Lostbelt 5. What about Alex? Alex would be good because of Demeter. Yeah, maybe we go with Alex. The thing is, Medea is very low investment, right? All you really gotta do is level her and get her first skill to 4. Everything else doesn't matter, right? Whereas Alex, it's kind of a million hero proofs. So I'm not sure. What do you think of Wu after her buffs? I mean, she's pretty good. She's a totally serviceable quick support after she gets buffed. And then she does, you know, some okay stuff on her own as well. So she's, I mean, I don't like her as a character, but as a unit, she's perfectly useful. So Alex is definitely better against Demeter, and he does pretty. The main reason I kind of want Medea is she also has debuff clear, and we have very bad options for anti-debuff right now. But Demeter is a hell of an obstacle, and it's good to be prepared for that. Ultimately, I'm going to need to level them both, I feel like. Other than them, what else would I need to level? Let me think. So, we got the Gajuna fight coming up. That's a bitch. I'm not even kidding. I need to get a level 25 Benkei going. That's very worth doing. And then Leonidas. Leonidas is really important. It's crazy I have not leveled him this far in. So, it's Medea, Alex, Leonidas, and Benkei are what I'm thinking of. I think I'm gonna level Leonidas because I don't think I need too much buff removal for Lostbelt 4, but I do need taunts. Taunts are very good here. And I've regretted not having Leonidas ready to go many times. We do have, I think we have Ricky. We'll definitely level him soon because pretty much once I get my utility set up, he's pretty much the next one because he is so good for things like Demeter, and there's even some stuff in Lostbelt 5.5 that he's good for and stuff, so he's fairly high on the list. But we do have Ushi and whatnot, so he's not like must level this second. And then once we get Asclepius, he's gonna be like super crazy top priority because Asclepius is just an awesome 3-star, and he's like he's the ultimate anti-debuff for low star, right? Like there's no better option for 1 to 3 stars for dealing with debuffs, and he keeps up with a lot of the 4 and 5 stars in that department. He's way behind in like the other kinds of support, but still, he's such a good unit that he's super high priority once we actually have him. But I won't have him for a little bit, so. But yeah, I've been really regretting not having Medea or Alex, so that needs to happen really soon. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting something. I hope I don't run into a fight in Lostbelt 4 where I'm like, oh god, I need buff removal. I know that exists in some of the, like, you know, 5 and in... It's a lot in 5, so there's many fights in Lostbelt 5 that debuff removal are good, like, you know, Tam Beastie and all that. Good old Leonidas, man. But yeah, we're gonna want taunts for Gajuna, like 100%. Both of them, really. I'm trying to think, is there any big holdups for Lostbelt 5-1 instead of 5-2? Mainly the Poseidon fight, and maybe like the Chiron fight. I think we got Ku and like Hans. That's most of what we would need for like the Poseidon fight. I think we're all right. Okay, I'll wait for now because I might get some regular XP later, and I'm not gonna need him like this second. So. All right, off we go. I really enjoy the Gudjuna fight. It's fun. It's just a nice mix of, you know, thematically interesting and good music and, you know, unique gameplay and everything, so it was really fun. It was one of my favorite fights until Zeus. Zeus kind of one-upped it, because the Zeus fight is just, like, the best thing in the game. Hey, hat. Okay, Lostbelt 4, from what I remember, is kind of like the typical Lostbelt setup where, you know, most of the interesting stuff is at the end. I think there's a couple of decent bosses, if I remember correctly, spread throughout, but nothing too great. 4 is kind of... It's a bit of a step up from... I think it's a step down from 3, but it's a step up from 1 and 2. And I think it might be a step up from 3 in terms of pacing, because the one problem with 3 is it has no good fights until the end. But I tell you, that's just how a lot of the older stories are. It's weird, though, because 1 AP. This costs 1 AP. Oh, boy. But it's weird, because Camelot, I think, hit the nail on the head with, like, you know, spreading out their bosses. Right? A nice, you know, curve. But then they just, like, regressed. And after Camelot, they didn't do anything like that again for ages. Oh, my music's not on random. Oh, it's one of these fights. Let me guess, I have to bring Mash. Yep, I need to get her to 10-10-10. I need to do that at some point. I've only done like 2 events on this account, which is kind of ridiculous, or like 2.5. Because I didn't finish the whale event, whatever it was called. 4.5. But anyway, I need another event to come along for this account to kind of just get a few, you know, mats and skill ranks up, that kind of thing. Let's see if we're fighting humanoid, why not? This is a weirdly specific team indeed, but it's like, you know, story stuff. There'll probably be a lottery event for Christmas, but, you know, I gotta play the main account mostly, right? I gotta keep that up to snuff. So we'll see how much I actually get to play this account for that. And really, I should be playing the 1 to 3 star account, but, you know, these are not humanoid. This is it, though. It's just these 3 enemies. This is the whole Jesus. Oh, yeah, that's like, there's a gimmick here. I hate the way that they did this gimmick, though, in terms of, like, the UI, because it's, like, lying to you. Anyone that looks at this would expect that we have quick down right now. That's not what that is. It's actually quick art and buster down. But then as the story progresses, you will lose one of the debuffs, and eventually you lose all of them. Like, I think you lose the quick down first, then I think you lose the art down, you lose the buster down last, or something like that. I don't understand why. They literally have other gimmicks where they show all 3, so I don't understand. Anyone looking at this is just gonna be like, oh, I have quick down. Not, oh, I have all card performance down. And it sucks for videos, too, because if you do like a solo for one of the, like, the earlier bosses or something, maybe you're using an art unit, right? And everyone thinks you only have quick down, and you do your art NP, and people are like, oh wow, that guy's NP doesn't actually hit that hard. But it's actually because you have fucking art down, right? It's kind of dumb. Where's my, Actually, let's get Karna's NP. But where's my, Black Barrel, man? Gotta get that thing in here. Yeah, because, like, in Lostbelt 3, there's that part when you're fighting Mothman, where you've got, card performance of all type up, and it just shows, you know, each icon. So yeah, I don't get it. Karna is the last animation update that I can think of where they did a really good job, and I didn't feel like they were phoning it in at all. And I guess Arjuna as well, but that happened at the same time. But Karna's animation update is awesome, and it fits him really well, and you know, it's pretty good quality. But ever since then, I feel like pretty much all the animation updates has been phoned in. Even Hans's is cool, right? But it still feels like they're phoning it in. I mean, there's very little animation actually happening. But thankfully, Hans can kind of get away with that, right? Like, his style of fighting, you can even call it that. It kind of makes sense for it to be that way. And like, some of the pictures and stuff for it to be a still frame, it makes sense. So he gets away with it. I don't think it's like unsatisfying. But it's still not like an example of high quality. Rama's is fine too, but that came out at the same time as well. Like they did Rama, Arjuna, and Karna all at the same time. They didn't on an A, but on JP they all came out at the same time. I think one of the animation updates I've been the most disappointed with is Okita's. That one was really crappy. Not only was it crappy, but like her cut-in is so forced and just like slapped in there, and it's like her original animation with a quick pause to show the cut-in and then back to the original animation, right? It's so bad. That one in Scaths really stood out to me as not so great. Yeah, the Gorgon sisters are fine, and again, they could kind of get away with not having really, like, you know, they're not going to be moving around a lot, right? So, but again, it's still not an example of them like putting a lot of effort into the animations. I mean, but there's still those were all right. I kind of forget about those, to be honest. I don't really know why. I guess Uriel because I just hate her, but I don't know. I just kind of forget about that animation update a lot. But those are better, but I still don't think they're like they're certainly not on par with like a new unit, right? Like a new unit that they make, like the animations that they give those. It's not even close to like that level. And a lot of times I wouldn't say they look worse, they're just not that good, right? Like, I think Scath still is better since her animation update, but not better compared to like what a new unit looks like, right? It's like, it's still pretty lazy, and it's like, that could have been a lot better than it was. It's like, yeah, you know, she doesn't have the bobblehead anymore and all that stuff, you know, that's good. And also, they just don't do animation updates very much anymore. Like, they didn't do them that much to start with, but they've really slowed down on them over the last, like, year and a half, 2 years. Like, look, it's just kind of annoying, right? When Lostbelt 3 came out, you know, Jin K was in it a decent amount. You know, she's an old 3-star, and so they gave her an animation update while they were at it, right? You know, and Spartacus as well. But then we've got Lostbelt 5.5 comes along, and you've got like Hohenheim and Babbage that are in it a good amount, but they don't get animation updates, right? Nobody did. Nobody did, right? Like it's just all, it's like, this is lazy, right? Like, there's just so many times that they feature an old character in a main story, having not featured them in like an ungodly amount of time, and they don't, you know, they don't give them an animation update or anything like that. Like, you know, Samson's been in the main story several times, never gotten an animation update, right? Like, it's just like, it sucks. Yeah, at least Babbage got a buff, and that was nice, and it was a very impactful one that really lets him do his job, you know, which that's good. But, you know, if he had gotten an animation update there, right, and it was a good one, you'd feel like he's like a definitive, finished character that can stand with, you know, anything in this game now, and like, if you like Babbage, it's all good, right? but it still feels like, yeah, he's obviously lacking good animations, right? And it's like, if they're not gonna do it then, when would you do it, right? It's like he's not, there's no way he's gonna be featured in the main story again anytime soon. That ain't gonna happen, right? And then when he was featured, finally, they didn't give him an update. So it's like, well, when the hell are they gonna do it, right? Like, same with Sanson, you know, Sanson had several opportunities to get an animation update where he was like really prominent in the story. Again, having not been prominent in the story for an ungodly amount of time, and no animation update. And then, you know, now that was a long time ago. You know, Salem was a long fucking time ago. And surprise, surprise, he never got an animation update after. So I feel like it's gonna be the same thing for Babbage. It's like Sanson went, you know, 30,000 years there and still doesn't have an animation update, and then they skipped out on Babbage's animation update, so I suspect he's gonna be the same thing, and he's not gonna get one anytime soon. What they generally do for animation updates is they give them a better sprite, and then they like do the bare minimum amount of animation work needed, and I mean the bare fucking minimum, but then they slap like particle effects all over the screen and then call it a day, and it's pretty disappointing. Especially once you notice that trend, it's really obvious. And I don't think it's good business, man. I don't think it's good business. This is not how you future-proof your game and how you keep new people coming in and that kind of thing. But I did enjoy Lostbelt 5.5 for gameplay. It was pretty fun. It was not as good as 5.2, but I do not expect every story that comes out to be as good as 5.2, because 5.2 was so good. It's kind of reasonable for 5.5 to not be as good as that. But I still liked it. I completely enjoyed the boss fights. They definitely paced it a little bit better than the older Lostbelts and stuff. You know, it had a nice mix of really hard fights, and then, you know, kind of hard fights, and then kind of easier fights, but like you could like solo them with like, you know, units that are weaker, but then have fun with it, right? They had a nice variety of like stuff that was kind of aimed at a lot of different, you know, styles of difficulty in play and everything, and that was nice. It did have some filler garbage though. Like, that was something I just so loved about 5.2. Not a single stage is filler. There's no LOL fighting a bunch of useless trash mobs. That never happens. The few times you do fight trash mobs in 5.2, they're like gimmicky and, you know, harder, and it's not like, hey, it's 3 waves of trash, you know, 3 each, right? They didn't do anything like that. I have no idea if this stage actually is something like worth a damn or not. Well, I should, we're at the point where we don't have to worry about Bond too much, but I do want to get George to Bond 10, because George is, let's see, what's he at? He's 28k away, so I want to try to slap George on as many teams as possible. And, you know, I'll try to get Hans and Arash Bond 10 eventually, but I'm in no rush. It's not like, oh my god, I gotta do this second. Ku Bond doesn't matter too much. His Bond CE is so bad. I wish Ku had a good Bond CE, but yeah, he don't. What about Leonidas? I don't remember if he needs Bond for anything. Okay, he's fine. I'm trying to think if there's anyone I'm going to be leveling soon that I might want to get some Bond on in case I need to do like an interlude or something. Looks like I've kind of already. Okay, I'll get him to Bond. I don't think he would need Bond 5, but it looks like I've kind of already done that stuff. I've already done like the prep work. Don't really need to level any Mystic Codes either. Let's get XP on this. It feels so good once you've got this at 10, this at 10, and just this unlocked. You don't care what level it is. And then this is like just a few levels in. Like that, you've got, at that point, you got all your bases covered and you're in really good shape for pretty much anything the game could throw at you. Something that would make Ku's Bond CE a lot better is if it just always applied the buff. Like, it's RNG on top of RNG, right? Because you've got to get it, not only do you have to get it to proc the buff, but then while you have the buff, you have to actually get, you know, coup cards and then have enough stars that he can crit and then actually crit, because you might have an 80% but fail, and you have to. It's actually mathematically impossible, right? Like, if you look at, like, the fact that it gives you so few stats, and it doesn't actually increase your crit damage by that much, and you're only going to have a few stacks up at a time, if that, you might only have one or none, you're never going to get more damage out of it than you would get out of, just a more normal CE, right? That just has higher attack stat on it and that kind of thing, right? There's so many CEs that can apply, like, a decent amount of extra damage, be it a normal attack, crit, or NP, that you're never going to pay that debt off, right? You're not even going to get close to paying that debt off with Kuzma and CE. So, ultimately it's bad. Like, it's really bad. Like, you will so easily get... The only way that CE would get, like, any use is, like, if you could start the game off with it, right? But even then, pretty quickly, you're going to get, like, things, even 3-star CEs that are better than it. So, all in all, it's pretty damn pointless. Yeah, I think I've finally just decided that stage 1 Izo is my favorite, but it is a hard call because all of his stages and his costume are really good. So Izo fans have got to be happy, man, because first off, he's had many rate ups. He may be limited 3-star, but he's had a lot of rate ups, so it has not been hard to get him at all. He's got really... Each stage of his for his ascensions are quite different, and he got a costume, and it's one of the few costumes that they put effort into, for God's sakes. So you've got 4 basically ascensions to pick from that are all pretty, well done and different, so you have good variety. And then his gameplay is quite solid and, pretty applicable in a lot of situations. So, yeah, I think Izo fans have had a good... It's kind of bullshit, though. No hate for Izo fans. I'm happy, hell, they can get another costume, and good for them, right? But... It's kind of nonsense, in my opinion, that, like, Izo and Bunyan haven't even been in this game, like, nearly as long as, like, Ushi and Ku and, those like, other 3-stars and low stars out there. But, like, they both got a costume already, right? And actually a good costume and stuff, and meanwhile, Ku's over here, like, day 1 unit, most requested costume in the game, and, still don't have anything. It's like, okay. I could see them giving Curse Armor costume at some point. That'd be cool. And then Ushi can't even get an animation update, for God's sakes. So here's the dream. So they did not even add Avenger Ushi to the game, right? She's not a playable unit right now. The Part 2 banner already dropped, that's that. So maybe the Christmas event is going to have something to do with 5.5 or whatever, and maybe she'll be in that. Kind of like how Lee was in an event not too long after Lostbelt 3. But maybe it's for New Year's, right? They do a lot of weeb units on New Year's, and I guess you could say Ushi's a weeb. I think that's pretty fair to say. So that could happen then. Or it could happen way the fuck down the line. You never, they can get really silly with these things, like Canis. Oh my god! Dude, that was so messed up. That was so messed up with Canis, right? They've been hyping her character up forever, and then she's in Lostbelt 5-1, and is an enemy and everything, and then she wasn't actually summonable for like 7 months or something until after. Like, that was fucked. That was so fucked. So yeah, they could do that with Ushi again. Maybe she's not going to be summonable for like 7 or 8 months or some crap. But it could just be Christmas or New Year's. I feel like it's going to be one of those two. But what I'm getting at is because she's not even out yet, and whenever she does come out, other things are going to be relevant. It's not like whenever she gets added, it's not like that's the only thing that's going to happen, right? It's probably going to be on New Year's or on Christmas or something. And so maybe they'll do the Ushi update as well, right? Like, that could happen. Although, it also could not, because this is DW we're talking about, but... I mean, calling someone a weeb isn't really saying they're not a respectable servant, right? It's kind of like in For Honor, right, the game where you've got, the knights, the samurai, and the Vikings, right? They got the 3 factions. I think there's a 4th faction now, but anyway... everyone calls the knights tin cans. If you like them or not, everyone calls them tin cans. Everyone calls the Vikings neckbeards. and everyone calls the samurai weebs, right? That's how it goes, right? Like, it's not, you know, if you like them or not, you know, it's pretty normal to call them weebs, right? It's just kind of how it all works out. Alright, it's kind of like, you know, the whole katana meme, right? Like with the fold and everything. It's like you can like a katana and still get why that's a meme. I mean, regardless of if you like Ushi or not, it's like you should want her to be added to the game, because it's kind of like, because everyone has things that they do like, and then no one's happy when, like, oh, hey, it's added into the game, but it's not summonable because fuck you. Nobody enjoys that, right? So for just, like, fairness and not being a dick, it's just like, yeah, I mean, the sooner she gets added, the better, right? It's not like if she got added for Christmas, that means they're not adding anything else. Of course they're not gonna, well, actually, I don't know, GW has been pretty lazy lately, maybe that is what's gonna happen, but, you know, like when Lee got added, it wasn't like Lee was the only thing in that event, right? So I would imagine they would do other things as well. Like, it's not like Ushi's gonna be the Christmas welfare, right? Like, that ain't gonna happen. I love that Hans animation, man, it's great. What a majestic screaming dude. But the cynic in me definitely thinks the reason we did not get Ushi in the Part 2 banner is because they wanted to use it for another thing, so they didn't have to make something for that event, right? They didn't have to make a male's character for White Day, because they just used Odysseus, which was someone they had to make sooner or later if they liked it or not, right? So if I feel like Ushi might be that, so they don't have to make a New Year's servant, or so they don't have to make another Christmas servant or whatever. I really could see New Year's. I could definitely see that. The only reason I'm kind of skeptical on Christmas is just because she's so un-Christmassy. Although I guess, honestly, a lot of the 5 stars that have come with Christmas haven't actually been all that Christmas related, so I don't know, maybe she is for Christmas. I could see that. Alright, yeah, a lot of, as you can see, we have a lot of filler stages. Alright, let's go with the tank. Do I have Bedivere? I do not. Oh, that's another one I need to... Oh, I do. He's just not... What's his MP rank? Oh, MP5. Feels good. I do need to get him up. It's just, there's not a lot of budget units that have battery. Oh, wait, I don't have to level budget units on this account. That's right, I can level whatever I have. So I could level, like, Mordred or something. And we got, oh yeah, we got, Enkidu. Boy, that would have been good here. You find a lot of divinity here, and in the next, I really should level Enkidu, but it's almost cheating, like, how much easier Enkidu makes Lostbelt 5. Like, he's not just good, he is devastatingly good for every single major boss fight in Lostbelt 5. Because none of them are sabers, and all of them have divinity, so it's like, they just get absolutely destroyed. Like, it's just, it's not even fair. Oh yeah, I need, George on the team, excuse me. And I do need to level Atalante. We don't have a lot of archers. It just makes sense. And I like Atalante because she's green and, you know, looks cool and whatnot, so... She has pretty good animations, too. Enkidu stuns things that are divine, and you might say, well, Scath stuns anybody. The thing is, Enkidu, in terms of general kit, like, if you remove both of their stuns out of the equation, right? Enkidu is just way better than Scath. Like, you know, Scath's good. Scath's really good, but Enkidu is just much better than her. And if Scath stuns and Enkidu doesn't stun, it can be close, but even then, a lot of times, Enkidu is still better than she is. And then you add in if Enkidu is also stunning, it's just ridiculous, right? Because here's why it's so stupid. First off, stun is just good, because stun can actually fuck with, like, enemy gimmicks. Like we saw yesterday, how, like, Gorgon stunning Mothman really messes him up, right? Because then you have a whole turn to deal with his second health bar before he even gets to NP, right? So it's like, that's such a big deal. So for just utility reasons like that, stun is good. It's also a turn of survivability. The boss won't hurt any of your units, obviously, when they're stunned. And then here's the big one, right? So one reason Ku is so good is because he has two very powerful defensive abilities that are both low cooldown, and they kind of play off of each other, right? It's kind of the same for 100 Face. Why 100 Face is so good, like in those longer fights against like Bullet Heaven or something, is because she has two very strong survivability things that are pretty low cooldown, and play, you know, one kind of helps you buy time for the other. And so Enkidu has got an evade that's very short cooldown yet again, and crit down to survivability, and then the heal, which is kind of a longer cooldown, but it's just like, it's like one of the strongest heals ever. But then if you factor in a stun into this equation, now you're able to bounce these things off of each other and just keep going forever, right? Now you've got an evade on a short cooldown, the stun buys you time for that, you evade again, and all of these things are buying you time for your heal to come back, which buys you a bunch of time for everything. Like, so it's just nonsense, right? He just does crazy damage because he does defense down before NP, he's got an upgraded NP, he's got the bust drop, you know, it's just a lot of nonsense. So he's so good on his own, and then when you're fighting Divinity, you get the stun. And Enkidu stunning is bullshit, right? Like, the reason Scath stunning is not bullshit, although it's almost bullshit, but the reason Scath stunning isn't bullshit is because, you know, her gain rate is pretty crap. You know, her overall utility is fine. You know, again, I think Scath is one of the better Lancers, but she's not, like, completely, you know, broken or anything, and it's mainly because her gain rate is so bad, and like her star generation isn't anything spectacular and stuff. Meanwhile, Enkidu has very good star generation. You know, he's almost like Jack, and then he's got, you know, pretty solid NP gain rate, and then more survivability than Scath, and then also utility with the crit down. And like, so it's just, it's not really even comparable. So yeah, Enkidu with stun is nonsense. It's kind of like, imagine if Ku had a stun, right? It's like, if you put a stun on Phantom, it doesn't really help that much. It's like, yeah, it's something, and now at least he's got a lot of like crowd control, and maybe Phantom's, you know, kind of good now. But it's not like, Phantom is not going to go from trash tier to god tier because he gained a stun, right? That's just not going to happen. But if you put a fucking stun on Ku, it's just nonsense, right? It's like, he is so good already. Giving him that kind of thing to buy him time for his cooldowns is just absolutely insane. And Enkidu is basically on par with Ku, and in many ways better. And then LOL, when you're fighting Divinity, he gets a stun. So it's just a niche where he just becomes ludicrous. Why did I not cast this skill forever ago? So you're saying we need to buff Ku again? Oh yeah, Proto Ku is the one there. I truly don't think they're gonna buff Ku again anytime soon. Maybe way down the line, on 3.0 or some crazy crap. And especially if they've actually gotten around to buffing Pyramid and a lot of other low stars that really need it. Like, because, you know, Ku's really popular. I get it, right? Like, popular guy, and, you know, lore-wise, he's, you know, really strong and everything, blah, 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 blah. But, like, this is literally coming from somebody who is a massive Ku fan, right? I'm a huge Ku fan. He's one of my absolute favorite characters. And I'm like, for the love of God, can you buff someone else? Because there's so many low stars that need it, right? Like, there's so many low stars that are like, wow, I'm useless, right? Yeah, let's buff Ku again. Like, imagine being like, you know, the biggest Pyramid fan right now. It's like, it's just like, you gotta be kidding me. Let's see if she gets some good damage here. She does have really good burst damage right here. Like, her normal card damage isn't exactly the best, but she has a lot in her favor when she's got all of her buffs activated. Medusa's in pretty good shape. You know, they did buff her NP and all that. That really helped her out. Like, honestly, I think Medusa's in a pretty good spot. Now, she could... You know, you could buff her and it's alright. Buffing Medusa is nothing like buffing, you know, Ku again or something like that, but she's fine. I mean, she's already way ahead of, like, red hair and stuff like that. You know, she hits really damn hard for a budget AoE rider, right? She's got really nice utility with her stun. You know, she's got the battery. Battery's very rare on low stars and stuff. She's got some utility with the crit stuff too. It's like she works out pretty nicely. Like her NP buff is really good for her. I almost don't even know what you would do with her at this point. It's like you could give her survivability, but that's not really fair, right? Because there's so many other riders that one of the only things they have going for them is at least they have some survivability over Medusa, right? And then if Medusa gets that kind of survivability, it's like, well, now Medusa is just better than me in every way possible, and then some. Because, yeah, she even has crit down, for God's sakes, right? And that's really helpful, so. The only bad thing about Medusa is she's kind of skill rank dependent, right? You really want to get her stunned to, like, max rank and that kind of thing. What are her mats, though? She does take Void Dust. Not a lot, though. That does suck, though. Her mats are really easy other than the Void Dust. But, yeah, she's pretty easy to get skill ranks up on. Oh, this song, though. You could probably make her battery larger. That's probably okay. I wouldn't make it 50%, though. I'd probably make it 40. Maybe make it 40 and, make the what is it, the gain rate a bit higher, because her hit counts are pretty low, so the gain rate doesn't even help her that much. So it'd be nice to make the gain rate like 50% or something. That'd be pretty fair. Like make her battery 40% and the gain rate 50%. I think that'd be pretty nice. And that focuses more on what she's doing anyways, getting her NP quickly and that kind of thing. That's kind of what she's there for. You know, hard hitting NP that she gets pretty quick, right? That's her whole thing. And then utility with the stun and the crit down. I don't think Arash needs a buff, like, at all. He's such a good lodestar. If I was gonna buff anything on him, I'd just buff his clairvoyance. Because lore-wise, it's one of the strongest clairvoyances out there, and because his hit count is so low, he barely benefits from it. It's like, yeah, maybe Stella will make 1 extra star. Maybe my normal attack will make 1 extra star. Maybe. Right? So make the gain rate on it like the star rate on it. Make it 100% instead of 40. And then add some other effect to it. I wouldn't do anything too crazy, but like just give it, you know, a little something. If you want to be a crazy bastard, give him an attack up, but I think that would be unnecessary. Oh my god, I will say, it would be kind of fun to give him an overcharge up. That would be kind of nice. I think I could approve of that. Like, if his clairvoyance gave him 100% star gain rate, and then +1 overcharge, that would be kind of nice. Give him guts. Hey, I wouldn't complain about that, and then, you know, if you're farming and you want to have him die, you could just not cast it, so... I feel like archers have done pretty well with animation updates, mainly because DW can be really lazy and still make them look good. It's really easy to make archers not look stupid. Oh, we didn't do quite as much damage there as I would have hoped. Oops, probably should have attacked then. So we still have all of the performance down. I guess I shouldn't be surprised we didn't kill. We have Buster down. Didn't really even think about that. I think it's 20%. I think it's 20% for each fire type. I'm not sure, but that would be my guess. See guys, he's bad. We gotta buff him. That really does suck for Caesar. He has gain rate problems. That's Caesar's big drawback, is his gain rate is really bad. But he's got insanely good damage, some team support and star gen and, you know, that kind of thing. That's how he's balanced against Bedivere. I gotta say, I think Bedivere is still overall better than Caesar. I think Caesar is really good, and there are times that Caesar is the way, because sometimes you're really pushing it for damage, especially on budget setups. Sometimes you're fighting a boss where it's like, there's no budget unit that's gonna have enough damage, so you want the best damage you can possibly get, right? And Caesar is really good in that department because it is, you know, pretty wild how much damage you can get out of Caesar. But there are also way more bosses where it's like, it doesn't matter if you have Omega Caesar damage or just kind of Omega Bedivere damage. Because Bedivere still has really big damage for a low star, right? And then Bedivere gets it so much easier. And then he's got some, you know, team support and whatnot as well. So there's a lot of situations where I think Bedivere is still much better than Caesar. I've seen more situations where Bedivere overall is more useful than Caesar. But there are definitely times where Caesar is better than Bedivere. And that's fine. That's good balance. So like they're in good shape, I would say. Well, quick down, please don't run everything. Wow, even with the quick down, that was pretty good. Couple of buffs. That really is ridiculous. We're neutral, we're not max upgraded, and we still did that much. Like that, that is pretty silly. And that's with quick down. We had fucking quick down. Well, that was satisfying. I might grail Caesar on this account. We have a lot of grails, I'm not sure what to do with them. I want to grail a lot of things to 90. I think that's going to be the way on this account. Well, obviously we grail her to 100, but I think we'll be grailing lots of things to 90. Honestly, from a practical standpoint, that's a really good thing to do, right? Because it lets you diversify a lot. It lets you get a lot of powerful units without the gacha, right? You don't need to rely... Oh yeah, I should like turn all these fucking fragments in. You don't have to rely on like gold to have like a lot of bases covered. So, 90 Phantom, yeah. So, Ushi is such a weird unit for me. So, okay, I was thinking about this. Let me bring some stuff up here. Hold on. So, I'll get to Ushi in a second, but to kind of explain what I'm talking about, I'm going to go on a side tangent here. But I really realized this a few days ago. So, I have often, and I think rightfully so, I have often brought up how Calamity Jane's design is dumb, right? And you know, little too colorful there, right? It's just like, why are her pants different colors? Why is there a different shade of teal on her sleeve? Why is there then red, brown, other brown, other brown, white, off-white? You know, it's like, what the fuck? It's just stupid, right? It's just, and then, you know, foam gun for some fucking reason. You know, it's just, and I've mentioned that so many times. You know, like just how silly of a design that is, and like how much I'm not really a fan of it, right? It's not really my thing. But it's not like Ushi's any better, right? Like Ushi's pretty much the same thing, except her sprite is worse, right? I mean, look at this shit. Like, what is this? Right? This is. Again, we got purple, we got blue, we got other blue, we got gold, we got red, we got really dark blue, we got really dark purple. Like, what? And then she's wearing nothing for some reason, and like it does. Okay, look, you know, I'm not trying to be Grandpa Green here. That's like, oh my God, put clothes on, you hussy. But I'm like, it's not even about. It's literally not even about showing skin. It's about, this looks like her clothes got thrown in a blender, right? This is literally not about showing skin. This looks like blender clothing, right? I don't see how anyone can look at this and be like, oh yeah, it's supposed to look like that, right? It looks like she got shredded. It's just stupid, right? Like, it looks bad. And it's like, Ushi's been around for so long right? That I'm just like used to it, right? And like, you know, I like her, she's voice actress and her gameplay's really good and she's a very helpful unit and everything, right? But it's like, she looks so fucking stupid. Like, Uchi is a fashion disaster, right? That's crazy. But so yeah, it'd be nice if she could get a costume and not, you know, look completely ridiculous. Like, it's hard to take what she looks like seriously. You know, her character is serious, her voice acting is serious, her NPs and abilities are serious, her gameplay is very good, but then you look at her and it's like, this is a clown that fell in a blender. That's what it looks like. So it's like, it'd be nice if she could get a costume at some point that looked more serious. That would be great. But yeah, hopefully she gets a good animation update. Who knows, maybe I'd grail her at some point, we'll see. She's not super high on the list, just because she's so good as she is. It's not like she needs grails. You know, there's never really been... When the hell have we been like, oh my god, this caster boss is so hard and none of the budget writers are good enough to get the job done, right? That's not a thing. Like, Demeter is like the hardest one, and she's completely doable with all the budget stuff. You don't need a... Like, yeah, sure, Grail Douche will make it easier, go for it, but... You know, Uchi and Ricky pretty much always get the job done when you need them, so... Where there's other fields where it's like, man, like, I don't know, killing assassins? Right? It's like, our options are getting better for that, right? Because of Babbage, I will say our options for dealing with assassins have improved. But it's still not like dealing with, you know, when you fight an assassin boss that's really hard, it's much harder than an equally difficult boss of every other class, unless of course you've got Ilya or Plot Monk and stuff like that, right? So like that's definitely an area where grailing makes a lot of sense. Like, here's an example. Imagine if Assassin Lee, I'm serious, think about this. Think if Assassin Lee in Lostbelt 3 was exactly the same gimmick, same scats, all that, but he was a saber. And it's like, this would not be very difficult, right? Like, even if he's blowing up your taunt wall super fast and everything, you're gonna have like Robin or Uriel, David, you know, your option, Billy, you know, your options for just quick, on-demand, hit it very hard. Like, oh no, he evaded. Oh look, I have Billy or David, right? And you can go through the, like, it would be so easy. Like, seriously, the whole reason Lee is so annoying is because he's an assassin. Right? And literally not even a hard boss if he was a different class. And that's why he's not hard if you do have Ilya or Plot Monk or something like that. Like, it's assassins really have been like the bane of like unlucky accounts or free to play or Lodestar or what, you know, whatever you're doing. Like that, those kinds of things, assassins are generally an issue, where a lot of the other classes really aren't. You know, Saber bosses, you know, caster bosses, even though Demeter is one of the harder bosses out there, you're still given such good, you know, options for dealing with it. So it's rare that I would use someone else's Billy other than mine. But let's investigate Noelle's Billy here. What? No, not 2K Fode. I can't justify this. I do feel like using Billy though. So still though, it's still a good Billy, and you know, a sign of good taste. So I approve. But if I'm going to use Billy, I'm going to have to use mine now. So give me a second to log in here. Well, let's see, what else does Noelle got? Let's see, what we got here? So we got, I will say, this is some pretty good taste here. I mean, we got Enkidu, we got Mordred. I'm obviously big fans of both of those. They're some of my favorite 5 stars right there. You know, Billy's awesome. Canis is awesome. You know, level 1 George, helping people out with those solos. Castergill's awesome. And then Castergill, specifically in his summer costume, is the best. So, definitely winning on that front. Kojiro, I mean, come on now. Kojiro is like the shit. I think this is actually like, this is a hell of a Kojiro now that I look at it. I think this has got, yep, 2K Fode, got the command card. Basically, this is Noelle's coup, right, in comparison to me, right? This has got like every upgrade ever. That's pretty good. Let's see what else we got here. A gold iPad. Yeah, we got Atalante Berserker, not 10-10-10 yet, but I'm assuming on the way. And then good old Luvia, right? OP son of a bitch right there. So yeah, I like everything on the support list. There's not a single unit on this list where I'm like, right? There's none of that like, you know, lolly bullshit, right? So I'm okay with this. All right, let me give Billy like golden sumo. Boy, as time has gone on, and this is what one would expect, because new players get into the game, some people quit, maybe they come back, but like, you know, the longer the game goes on, the rarer old limited things are, and like Golden Sumo is becoming a really rare thing, right? And then like the Da Vinci CE on Death, you know, which is like Golden Sumo. I mean, it's like Balakan Lan, but a bit better, right? Because it doesn't give health. So it's like that's getting rarer too, right? As time goes on, those things are, you know, they're still around, of course, but you see more and more people that don't have them, right? But hopefully they'll give us a main interlude with Golden Sumo. Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, I like Noel's sport list a lot there. Literally every unit on it, I'm a fan of. So, and you know, properly upgraded skills and whatnot. All right, what do I want to do here with Billy? Let's go with that and that. There we go. Go Star Bomb. Maybe Billy will get lucky there. You know what? Fuck leveling the CE. Let's see if we can get a lucky Buster crit on Billy. Let's he's only got the one Buster card, but let's see what happens. I should really give him a command code that's just like crit damage. You know what? I'm gonna do it real quick. I fucking hate command codes, but I gotta do it. We gotta at least give him that. Now, if I really wanted to go ham, I would give him the burn crit command code, because it's 30% crit damage, and then you could use the Yang CE, you know, like, you see where I'm going with this. But I'm not gonna go that ridiculous, because one, it would take too long. Also, my main account doesn't have an MLB Yang CE, I've only got a regular copy, but I'm gonna make sure I get it next year. It's like, it's just too good of a CE not to get, right? I normally don't, you know, hype the Gacha limited time CEs, I stick to Gacha unlimited and freebies, generally, but that thing's just too good, man. Like, it's just too damn good. Alright, thankfully, because I'm only switching one command code, I'm almost done here. Now, if this works as I believe, I should not have to go back and update the list. When I go into the stage, it should update Billy's command code, because command codes are crazy like that. Alright, let's find out if I'm correct here. Although, unfortunately, I just realized the gimmick here is going to get rid of my entire command code. Except for 5%. Assuming it's a 20% buster down, that pretty much just deletes our command code, which is 25% crit damage. So it's giving us 5% crit damage. Although, I guess it's... Oh, hey, it's a boss, so this is not that hard of a boss, but... I think after you beat her, I want to say you lose the quick down. Yeah, sadly, I think Buster Down is last. Now, of course, Billy already has all this stuff, but so Billy could just MP right now. That's pretty funny. How do I want to do this? Let's see. The logical thing to do would probably be you just Brave Chain with Billy, and then you blow up a Rush. But I don't want to wait that long. I mean, it's fine. Kind of. Wait, did they not add... Yeah, I guess they didn't add this as a skin, did they? I don't know why. It's like, it's already in the game and it's super easy to implement, but... You know, F-Go, never adding costumes, even when they're already in the game. Okay, see, I probably should have killed a Rosh there, so I could have cycled, right? That would have probably been worth it to do there. Okay, so... I want to make stars here, but I want to do some damage as well. I guess we do like that. Dude, if they don't give us Lion King at some point, I'm gonna be mad. Well, Billy is short, but also he's got an older sprite, so it's not quite size accurate generally, but he is indeed short. I kind of knew that was going to happen because she attacked Billy first, and as soon as she did that, I knew that was going to happen. I know this fucking game, dude. Like, literally, that is the only series of actions that would have done that, and of course, that's what happens. Like, if she cast a single skill, it wouldn't work. If she double attacked Caesar, it wouldn't have worked. If she had just attacked Caesar first, it wouldn't have worked. Like, the only way that can happen is if you triple attacks and attacks Billy first. That's the and then decides not to attack Caesar twice. Okay, well, let me take this slightly more seriously. Arash obviously was not good here. You know what? Caesar is not here to NP himself. Now, obviously, that'd be... If I wanted to win, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, hell, I should do that. But that's not the goal here. We're trying to get big Billy crit here. Wait, no, Hans needs Bond. How long do I want George to live? I mean, if he lives 3 turns, it's fine. But what if he lives more than 3 turns? That would not be fine. I'm doing it for the stars, by the way. Alright, let's see if we can set this up proper. More proof Arash needs a buff. Yep, clearly. Yeah, they could add like Corrupted Ushi, they could add Drake Altar, they could add Lion King, they could add whatever this is called. They could, like, there's a lot that they could do pretty easily. And like Minotaur, stuff like that. Okay, I think we guts. That'll give us like exactly 3 turns. Probably should use Billy's second skill. Like, really, if you're wanting to win, you want to just go boom, 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 right? But I'm trying to set up like a really disgusting turn here. Damn. Okay, come on, RNG. Nope! I mean, we can still do a lot of damage, it's just, not like the pinnacle damage that we wanted. Although we could make a lot of stars here and potentially crit again. Now I could save... Do I save these stars for next turn to try to, like... Yeah, I think we do. Because the goal here is not really winning. The goal here is hitting really hard. Oh yeah, she has sure hit, so that doesn't... These are totally removable though. And they go away next turn, so I totally should not have done that. But, oh well. Yeah, I'll just take the 70% and the next turn we'll try to get the Buster. I know all the like costumes on CEs give them like a template to do like all kinds of things. Okay. Wow, Billy made 40 stars. Alright. Well, I guess some of that too was the CE, but still. Now, in total, I think we'll do more damage if I do Buster, Art, Buster, just because the Art card is also going to get a million crit buffs. But we're not really here for... you know, overall doing good damage. We just want that Buster card to hit really hard. So I think we do see red press red. I really am pissed though that we have like a permanent Buster down in this stage, because it does kind of kill the awesomeness here a bit. So it's really hard to tell how much damage that did because of the way Billy hits count is there, but it was quite a lot. Let's see, this is where you'd want to NP with David or Billy, because she has evade. That's pretty good though for a budget team. It's not like, you know, we're not giving him like Scatty buffs or Merlin buffs or anything like that, right? It's just not even maxed out Caesar, and not a maxed out David either, so. Rip Caesar. I wonder how much damage I could get though on Billy if I really min-maxed that. We're actually like about to lose here. Actually, I think we have another unit, so we might still win, but probably not gonna be all that satisfying. Just save David's second skill. Or Billy could just crit, you know. Not quite. If he crit that last one, it might have been enough. I should have used Hans's first skill. I don't think I did. Huh, I guess she doesn't have a voice line when she's in this costume. Or it's bugged. There's that too. Oh, yeah, level 8 Alex. I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, we're gonna have to like actually take this seriously now. Feels bad, man. I wanted to just do stupid shit. He's got this. She'll just triple buff, it's fine. What's sad is even if she triple buffed, he would still lose. Wow, she triple attacked. That's just mean. Just crit forehead. Not a single crit. Okay, let's fight this for realsies. Well, not totally for realsies. I'm not gonna bring like Herc and that kind of shit, but we'll make a proper setup here. All right, we'll still do Billy though. We'll stick with Billy. I like how Hans had no CE. Honestly, don't really need to change much, just have people actually get their NPs, really. By the way, Ku can solo this. I've done it before. Even though the boss says sure hit, it doesn't matter because you have guts and invulnerability, and then she loses sure hit, and then he just kills her. So it literally takes Ku like no time to kill her. But now I wonder if an 80 Ku could do it. Probably. Yeah, you know what? I kind of want. Do we try it? I kind of want to try now that I'm thinking about it because I mean this is just gonna blow her up so fast. Like who cares? How much AP does this cost? Maybe we do both. I hate the stages where you like the cutscenes before like that, and you have to go to like a million confirmation. It's only 6 AP. Yeah, let's try 80 Ku. Like none of that 100 Ku, you know, 2K foe nonsense. Like no. We just go level 80 Ku, 1K foe. Not even 10. I think he can do it. He'll be pushing it. I mean, he could definitely do it if you had like. There's various craft essences you could give him that would make it like. Then of course you could like an invulnerable for once. The one for once that would be good. And then you could just do like the Yang CE for damage. You could do the anti-berserker one. Like there's a lot of CEs you could do that would make it really easy. But we'll try to do it with something pretty, you know, standardy. And by that, I mean we obviously give him Herc spawn CE, right? Clearly. Let's see. This is like as standard as it gets on this account. We actually have the anti-berserker CE on this account. Like this would do really well, but let's not do that. This actually wouldn't be so bad either, but we'll try this. It's like that's like so baseline standard, you know, nothing special. I guess this is one of those times maybe you go Anniversary Blonde too, because you would do more damage with that. But we'll stick with this and see what happens. Oh right, we probably should bring a better CE though, because we've got this is no joke, man. Like the boss basically has 20% more life, right? And then you have slightly lower NP gain, and you have slightly lower Stargen and stuff. Also George took all of our cards, so not a great start here. Oh boy. Wow, we did not get our NP, and it's mainly because our CEs are so bad, but and also because we got like no cards, and then we got the 20% art down. That was I should have already cast this, I think. Should have cast it last time? I wonder, do I cast my second skill just for the defense up? No, wow, what? LOL taunt walls, by the way. Feels bad. Also, this turn is so atrocious, though. This turn is painful. Oh, she actually does have a slightly different voice line, I think. I don't think that grunt sound is the grunt sound she normally makes. I'm not 100% sure on that. You don't fight her as an enemy all that often, so... So I really dislike how Lostbelt 3 and 4 have like an overarching gimmick of you being nerfed all the time. It's just not fun. Like, it's just not fun. Like, the cooldown thing on your Mystic Code was one of the least fun things I think they've ever done in the game. It's fine if you want to make the game harder, that's great. But give the enemies gimmicks, give them boosts. It's so boring. Now, it's fine if like also the boss has like a debuff or something, because then debuff removal is relevant, right? And like, oh hey, I get use out of this like, you know, niche thing. That's nice. But like, Lostbelt 3 really was lame with its gimmick, in my opinion. I thought it's just so boring. That's not a fun mechanic, right? That's just, again, if you want to make the content harder, that's fine. But I don't think that's a good way to do it. Like here, you know, you do 20% damage like all the time, and then like Buster gets extra screwed over because Buster has the I think it's Buster anyway. You know, it gets removed last. Wow, Jesus, that's not good. That's insane. Wow, we actually lost because of that. Because I don't have any of my stuff back. That's fucked up. Oh my god, that is so dumb. She literally just one shot. I think she just Buster crit with like Buster Up or something. So that means I actually misplayed though pretty hard there. I should have cast my Protector from Arrows on turn 1. That was a pretty big mistake that I didn't do that. Because it would have been back if I had done that. And I can cover myself right before it's gone, so that was pretty bullshit though. Like that was crazy lucky on their part. But I could have won even with the bad luck if I just played correctly. I wonder what they called that. Like I don't know if his skill name came up when she cast that, or if Because this menu probably just says sure hit and attack up. I mean, like, yeah, you can see because it's the same description as the name, so that's probably the same. And this is probably, you know, how he explains, you know, damage. You know, because like evade is worded so weirdly, like it says it reduces damage to 0, right, and everything like that. So that's what all that text there is. Hey, look, it's like the exact same hand again. I will say I have found soloing on this count kind of frustrating, just because it does not have the second MLB Battle of Kemlon. That should matter here, but it's mattered a lot of the other times, and it's really obnoxious. Like how we're not going to... It's so easy to get your NP before the start, and we still didn't. Hey, Arjuna. Two 10% crits, what could go wrong? This is going way better though. Now that I know to cast Dex from arrows right away, this is like, we're way better off this time. It's still gonna be a little bit close though, just because this, you know, Ku's kind of got a meh CE and he's not fully maxed, and we got the nerf from the stage and everything, so we shall see. Also, she's triple attacking like a motherfucker. Okay, even if she one-shots us, Protection from Arrows is back this time. Although, I would still prefer she not do that, because that was kind of fucked up. Oh my god. And I'm at 98%. Man, my god though, the lost 2 turns because of that. That's not ideal. Still looking alright though. It's gonna be a little close. I think you really do want to get your NP though at the start there, especially because just so many things are scuffed here that the last thing I need is like another thing of bad value like that. Okay, our health doesn't matter, so I'm gonna remove the dot with this, because I don't want to heal. Because, you know, low health at this point is actually a good thing. Well, bad timing for her, although I guess she does get the defense up. So we have, you know, we have quick down, and she has defense up, so that's actually gonna hurt our damage quite a bit. Yeah, we're really pushing it here. That was really unfortunate. This is unlikely to save us, but because we have defense up and she could cast skill and like do a quick attack, we could theoretically live here. It's pretty nasty though, with the fucking permanent quick down and the scuffed CE and everything. Like, and there's another buster. Okay, I want to point out that even with all the scuffed nonsense, like that was just so much buster spam, and that was crazy. All right, so now for comparison, I'm kind of surprised though ADQ is having that much trouble, even with like his CE and everything. I want to compare to my regular coup, because obviously I think my regular coup is going to do way better, but I want to see what the difference is here. still not gonna use a CE that's like, you know, I'm not gonna use like, you know, Yang CE or, you know, Art of Death or anything. Although I guess Art of Death is a pretty normal CE ultimately, but so this is actually pretty funny to look at right here. So you've got a pretty significant stat difference there because of the CE and then the faux items and everything, right? Like, it's just kind of funny. Like, the passive, another thing that makes it really different is the passive effect under the hood is way better on the other coup. Let me, has anyone checked command codes today? I actually haven't checked to see if they fixed command codes today. I doubt they did. There was no patch today. But has anybody confirmed they haven't fixed? I mean, I don't think there's any way that they did. But I've been up to this point. I've been checking like every day to see if they fixed it. They got to do it at some point. They haven't. I figured. You know, guy can dream. Doesn't really matter for Coup, because Cou's like thresholds just don't work out with the way the Merlin thing works. But like Canis and stuff, there are some units that really do like it. And it's like, really, Coup rarely, if ever, wants either of the cooldown command codes. They just don't really work out for him. You would think the heal one would be good for him, but ultimately it's really not, because oh, hold on, real quick. I have got to know, for God's sakes, do I have the Battle of Kemlong to limit break that thing? I am so tired of that stupid thing. It gives like 10% when it's not limit broken, I think. I mean, I think it's pretty likely you'll get command code bugs on an A because your Mystic codes are still bugged. You're you know, how many years in? Why is the game telling me about... Why is the game telling... What the fuck? I think... Is it telling me about Bond CEs? I guess, yeah, it's because that's my first Bond CE. I guess that's what that was. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I think it's like how you can't burn Bond CEs and that kind of thing. Funny that they changed that. It's probably for the best, though. You know, somebody actually burned a Bond CE and was just so fucking mad. Alright, where is Kemlon number 2? Okay, we need 2 more copies of it, and I don't think we have any. That's crazy, man. We'll probably get it when we roll for Asclepius, though. I mean, if I use like all my FP, you might get it. It's just, I don't want to be rolling that long, right? Like, it can take a while to get specific 3-star CEs out of FP. But maybe one of these days. Like I said, it is getting old, having that shitty charge. And besides, it's not just for solos. There's a lot of fights where like you need a taunt wall, but you don't need anything special out of your taunt wall aside from just like buying you some time, and then them dying just giving everyone battery. It's like, that's great. I mean, I've seen so many boss fights where that's good. So. Now, granted, normally when you do that, you only need 1, and I've got 1 limit broken Kemlon, so you know it's okay for the most part. But there's sometimes you want to, and then for solos, obviously you want to. Like how this is slightly better than last time. But I like how, again, I only get 1 card. But at least this is a card that gives MP gain. Although a lot, well, not a lot less, but less than normal because of the gimmick. Oh my god. I'm so fucking tired of this. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you don't need anything to get your NP in time. Although I will say you do need more here because of this thing, right? Like that is pretty nasty. Like this combined with, you know, this piece of shit, those 2 things combined actually do make it kind of, you really need to get your art card. So I Buster Chain and just, yeah, because I'm not gonna get my NP this turn if I like it or not, so. Actually, I think I do this. That means I won't have no, I probably should have waited a turn. That's fine for like the cooldown, but that means my crit turn won't have the attack up, and that's not right. The only way it works out is if like I got lucky in one of these crit, then it would be worth it. But because now I'm gonna have it for my MP turn, right? But then when I do like quick, I won't have it for the one after it. So it's probably not worth the cooldown. When in doubt, go with the tried and true. The nice happy medium combo. I mean, I have played Melee a lot. Like Melee. Do you realize how old I am? Right, it's like, when I was, you know, most of the people in chat's age, that's when Melee was like its most popular. So, I played Melee a whole lot back in the day. But my favorite was Bowser, by far. But I played, let's see, I played Bowser, Marth, Fox, everyone played Fox. That was probably the three I played the most. Although I got into Melee kind of late because I did not get... it's funny, Nintendo GameCube was actually the first video game console that I owned myself. I played other people's, right, like my friends and stuff, like, you know, Kai, but, I got it kind of late. You know, Melee had already been out for a good while, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think, how old was I when I did get... I have no idea what... I know, let's see... I probably was about maybe 14, maybe? Or probably 14 or 15, roughly, when I got a GameCube. I can't really remember. The things that I can remember are really, like, I know, so, like, I didn't, it's gonna sound depressing, but it's not, it's fine, don't worry about it. But, like, I didn't really know my dad that well at all until I was 15. And I remember, this is, it was like right, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember it was kind of right before I started to really get to know my dad, was when I did get a GameCube. It was like just before it, and so I think I was 14 then, probably. It's fine, my dad was awesome and it worked out, so. Yeah, I didn't really know my dad for a long time because when I was pretty young, my parents got divorced, but before that, before they got divorced, he worked swing shift. And you just, anyone that's ever worked swing shift understands, right? So so yeah, there was that when I was really young, and then my parents got divorced, and then I just didn't really get to know him until a little while later, but really glad that I did. It was really awesome, so. Okay, I don't have my attack buff, because as I said, I cast it too soon. The smart thing to do here, because she's got evade, is to just go for NP gain, I guess. And I can make stars while I'm at it. I mean, this is not the best star gain combo that I'm gonna, if I do this. Like, the Buster quick is better, because the Buster would crit, most likely. But it's only like, you know, one or two star difference. It's not that big of a deal. It's probably just that. I guess it's actually kind of good, though, that I don't have the attack buff here, because it wouldn't do me any good anyway. Calculated, clearly. %. Really seeing a theme here. Also, I like how, okay, so this version of Ku was a lot more likely to survive that turn than the other Ku, because he has a lot more health, right? So he was, you know, a good bit more likely to not have guts go off there. But she also didn't spam Buster there. Did anyone notice? She did like, I think she did a Buster, I think, and then she did like quicker or some shit, right? Like, so way less damage there. So that was kind of silly. Hey, commentary, thank you for the sub, man. You know what? I don't think I cast protection from arrows. Last turn of guts, might as well get value out of it. That's fine. Like, yeah, I have enough health that maybe I could live another turn, but I'd rather get the guts while I've got it, so that's fine. But no, my dad didn't like ever like, you know, walk out on me. It was not like that at all. It was you know, just they got divorced and they were still very, my parents were very civil about it, right? And they pretty much they gave you know, full custody to my mother, but my mother was like, yeah, if anybody wants to, you know, stay with dad at any time. They pretty much like, it's all up to the kid. They pretty much said it was up to us, right? Like legally, they just gave custody to my mother, but they just said, you know, literally, it's anytime. It's completely up to the kids what they want to do. And my father had always, you know, still like supported the family and everything. And then I remember when I was 15, like I didn't really know my dad that well, right? So I didn't have like strong feelings one way or the other. I didn't hate him at all. Like it was just, you know. But when I was 15, I remember he asked if I wanted to, you know, like spend the weekend, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I was a little nervous because, like I said, I didn't really know him that well, but I was like, yeah, why not? And then we got along really, really well, and he was awesome, and then I, you know, from that point on, actually started living with him instead, and I'm really glad because, I mean, he taught me a lot, like a lot, so. It's not grim. I don't find this stuff grim. Like, it's really good, right? Like, my dad was an awesome role model, and he taught me a lot of really useful stuff, right? Like, yeah, it took me longer to get to know him than, you know, might be nice, but I would rather have, you know, gotten to know him and you know, learned all those things from him and everything than not. So I wonder if I let the burn hit me so I get lower on health. I think I do. I don't see it's not going to kill me. And if it ever gets to the point where it is going to kill me, then I remove it. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, right? Like, I like, this is so, like, we're doing so much better, by the way, because, like, one, although we got the same kind of shitty luck at the start, we got slightly better luck with, like, you know, her not spamming Buster cards nonstop and all that. But, like, we're so far ahead, it kind of just shows, like, where the damage and health thresholds really, make a difference. Yeah, almost every time I talk about my dad, people get all feels bad, but like, it doesn't sound like you know, my dad was awesome, dude. Like, I feel lucky because, man, you can really feel that, the holy shit, the quick down with the defense up, man, like, that is a big fucking hit on the damage. But anyway, I feel lucky because a lot of people either have deadbeat dads or never know their dad or they just have a really bad relationship with their fathers, right? And yeah, even the 150k would have been more though, because the 150k was also being affected by the quick down. Like, so many people do not have good relationships with their parents, right? So I don't feel I feel lucky. I feel very, very lucky. So because, like, obviously I've talked about like my mother was kind of nuts. And, you know, did a lot of really bad stuff when we were really young, but she turned her life around dramatically, and she's a way better person now, and I have a perfectly fine relationship with her now and everything, so I'm very lucky to, you know, not have totally borked, parental figures, right? Wow, this is crazy, like, how much extra value we have. Like, we might actually win this turn, and we still have guts. You know, 5 turns of it, and then probably won't get our protection arrows back again, but like, we're not gonna need it. You know what? Even though we could win this turn, I kind of think we should do Art quick in case she evades. Although I guess if you kill her, then she can't evade. Like, a corpse can't evade, right? But what if we did? Let's say we did Buster, Art Buster, and nothing crit, because we still got that 20% Buster down and Art down. Although we've got our really big attack up. I'm pretty sure if we just go ham, she dies. The bad thing though is if you go ham, barely don't kill her, and then she casts evade. But I don't think that's going to happen because she has defense down and I have attack up. The defense down mostly makes up for this debuff, right? So I'm pretty sure she's fucking dead. That's actually something people never talk about with Ku, about, like, Ku's defense down is not, like, the best ever. It really isn't. But it does contribute to, one, him doing more damage. It's basically like casting Charisma in a way every time you NP with him, right? Because it affects his teammates as well. And I've noticed it a lot since he buffed his first skill. The combination of the defense down with his attack up is just, yeah, it's a good chunk of extra damage, right? It's a pretty noticeable boost to his damage. And then on top of that, you got Ku having the highest attack stat of the 3-star Lancers, and then, you know, Lancer's got the extra damage mod and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, it's pretty noticeable. Alright, I feel like I can't just... I want to cancel the app because I do want to do this with a team, but I need to actually do the combo. Because she might live. This is not like a guaranteed kill. And if she does live and Castivate, we're actually in Omega trouble. Oh, she's fucked. She is so fucked. I think we needed one thing to crit. Because although that's a chunk of overkill right there, I think we didn't, because that was like 30k overkill, I think. I think we needed at least one crit, just barely. Like, I think if we didn't crit with anything, she might have had just a sliver of health. But it didn't even need to be a Buster crit. The art crit would have been enough as well. Okay, now we'll do a team. But yeah, that's kind of funny because we won right there and we still had guts, so that was a pretty noticeable upgrade from the 81. And it could have been even better though if we had, like, that would have been a lot smoother if we had gotten our NP when our taunts died for either the 80 coup or the 100 coup, right? Like the not getting your NP right there was a huge setback. Because then you start building towards, because you end up just overcharging a lot when that happens, right? You end up at like 90 some odd percent, and you end up like overcharging a whole bunch, which could have gone to the second NP, right? It's very bad. A lot of sad faces in chat right now. Feels bad, man. Yeah, I think 80 coup can do it. I really do think 80 coup can do it, but you need a little bit better luck at the start. Because it wasn't that far off. And, you know, another way, either that, you could still win with bad card luck, I think, but you need her to not spam Buster cards so much, right? You can't have both. If you get bad card luck at the start, and she spams Buster cards, I think you're fucked. Now, you could also make up for that, though, by using a better CE, right? You could do the Anti-Berserker CE, you could do, like, a Limb Broken Art of Death, you could do the Yang CE, maybe that one CE would also work, right? If you pick a CE that's going to be very effective there, it'll still work. But I was kind of wanting to do general stuff, because I wasn't wanting to, like, counter the boss like that. You know the one, Rex. Okay, let's do an actual team now and get this over with. I remember when I used to, I'm not, you know, the one, see, I feel it's kind of, it's not great. I've said this before, but it's like, I used to be able to say what I always said with that CE, right? And, you know, it was fine, and everyone knew what you were talking about. It wasn't a meme. It was just like, you know, it was just like saying, you know, drunken jolter, right? You know, things like that. You know, people knew what you were talking about, right? And then I don't even understand. I remember, like, it was a day when it happened, right? I remember you had this, like, period where Canis existed, but she wasn't summonable. You never fought her, but everyone knew about her because of the trailer, and she was in Lostbelt 1 and 2 and everything, right? You know, so, but in that whole period, it wasn't a problem. I remember, like, the second she showed up in Lostbelt 5-1, not 2, and Lostbelt 5-1, when she was just an enemy, anytime I would say it, people were like, what Canis CE, right? That doesn't count, by the way, because that was what they said, right? Because I didn't say Canis, right? I wouldn't say that. And all of a sudden, it became a problem. I don't even get it. I don't think it shouldn't be a problem. Well, actually, I will say now, everything aside, it actually is a problem now because this actually exists now. Like, I legitimately thought it was I was, okay. I do appreciate the gifted subs, though. Anyway, before this existed, I don't think anybody should have gotten confused, right? It was obvious what I was saying. Now that this exists, I kind of get it, but I don't want to, like, start calling it something else because I literally was calling it, well, I can say it now, you know, I was calling it the Canis CE
for like 3 years, right? I'm not gonna start calling it something else now. Like, fuck that. That's like awkward and forced. And Canis, it's a... I mean, it's weird. I didn't even... It's not something you would think. When you look at how they're spelled, you wouldn't really think that these sound all that similar. But, I mean, they do kind of, right? You know, Canis, you know... If you put the emphasis on the th and the s, it's fine. But if you kind of just say, you know, Canis, right? It's... I don't know. It's still pretty clear to me. I don't know why so many people got confused with it back in the day. But yeah, when they added this, though, it all went to shit. That really killed it. All right, let's take this seriously here. Let's like actually win. Doesn't really matter what I have CE wise. I still am so undecided though if the Canis CE is worth leveling or not. It's done better than I thought it would, and the whole reason it's kind of good is because of the stars. Like, there are just some units that it's like, you know, they want crits, but they kind of struggle to make enough stars on their own, especially in a solo. And then, because you can give them the bomb CEs, CCs, excuse me, the star bomb CEs. It does add up. So I'd like to experiment with it at some point with, like, you know, Canis and other units like that, where you give them the star bomb command codes, you give them that CE because it makes 4 stars as well, and then it still gives you, you know, a decent bonus. So because Canis will get so much damage if she is able to crit, right? She gets so much out of critting that you do want to go for it. But what I've really found with Canis, and this has been kind of a struggle, is her meta CE, MC, her meta mystic code ultimately is Atlas. Atlas don't help you crit, right? But overall, it's better because you live a lot longer and you get the attack up twice, you get the attack down twice, you get the guts twice, you know. There's just so much good there. Now, on a team, maybe you go with Anniversary Blonde, but like in a solo or Last Man Standing, it's Atlas all the way. And so at that point, your crits just become so fucking random. So the next time, or if they ever had story replay, or hell, maybe we do it right here. I wonder if this stage would be good enough. I would like to see if you have a CE on her with Star Gen like that, how reliably are you going to crit? Because I haven't really tried it yet. Actually, I think I am going to try that. I'll do this real quick with the team, but I actually do want to try that. Now, the CE is not leveled enough that I can't... It's not going to be a fair test of if the CE is worth it, because it's just, you know, it's like at the level 20 right now or something. Like, that's nothing. But I really want to see, like, is she going to, without Anniversary Blonde, is she going to crit consistently? Because if she will, then it's absolutely worth it at that point. Like, then it's definitely going to be really good on her. Which is funny because it's her CE. That's actually nice though, because normally units, their own CE is not good for them. That's like so fucking common, so I'd actually be kind of happy if it worked out that way. You know what? We're not going to really do much crit stuff on this setup. I'll take a quick 50-50. Why not?
Okay.
Well, that didn't work out. It's fine though. Well, yeah, I don't know. There may be another turn later where really I could have gotten like a crit in or something, but 98%. I just can't win right now, dude. Like, what the fuck? Why did I not use Billy's second skill? What am I doing right now? How do I even play this game? I'm over here thinking about, like, star ratios with, like, CCs and shit, and, you know, not playing the game properly. Feels bad. I really dislike the gimmick here, though. Because even with Canis, it's like, this isn't actually a good place to test her, because we're gonna have less star gen than normal. Like, yeah, not by all that much, but, you know, 3 hit quick with 20% quick down, 2 quick cards, it's like, yeah, you're gonna feel that. Also, does anyone else feel like the Yang CE is so good that regardless of critting or not critting, it's just going to be better than the Canis CE no matter what? Just because the Yang CE is just so much raw value. You're almost critting when you're not critting, right? It's like, it's kind of bullshit. I actually don't like when they make CEs like that because it's okay. I wouldn't like it even if it was unlimited, but I wouldn't mind it then. But because it's limited, I really don't like it. But I don't like when you have one CE that's just like this is better than almost everything in almost any context ever. I don't like that. Because the thing is, Golden Sumo is not that. I know I use Golden Sumo a lot, but a lot of it's because it's so generally used. It's so middle of the road. It's like it's got long-term value because attack up works all the time, and then short-term value with the starting NP, right? So it's just a nice universal CE, right? But like when they make CEs, it's like, yep, this is just so much better than everything. Now there's no longer a reason to, because like, as good as Golden Sumo is, sometimes Art of Death is better. Sometimes K-Scope is better. So, you know, all kinds of weird things can be better sometimes. But, like, most of that stuff is just never going to be better than the Yang CE now. And I wouldn't, again, I would not be happy with that if it was free. But I'm really unhappy with it because it's not even that, right? It's not just gacha, it's limited gacha. So I'm like, not a big fan here. At least with Poster Girl, Poster Girl's a little different. They're very similar in that they're both so unbelievably strong. Like, they are the same in that manner, and they're both limited and all that. The thing about Poster Girl is not apples to apples to much, right? Because damage, wow, way to go, Caesar, 80%, okay, champ. Anyway, the role of a damage dealer is very straightforward, right? And yeah, you're gonna have some variances. Maybe they're trying to do it through crits, or they're trying to do it through NP, or, you know, whatever. But it's ultimately, it's pretty straightforward what you're going for, right? Like, and the Yang CE is just universal. I hit really hard, and as a bonus, I also, my damage cannot be stopped. Because, like, right now, the boss has evade. If I had the Yang CE, wouldn't give a shit. Right? It's like, it's boring, right? It's just, because like, for example, the Kana CE is kind of cool because it only gives you damage on crits. It gives you a lot, but every time you don't crit, it's not doing anything for you. And every time you NP, it's not doing anything for you. But it gives you that whole like, am I the only one that kind of enjoys the kind of like different style of CEs, right? You can do like Billy the Kid, right? And you give him the Star Bomb command codes, and you give him like the Wolves of whatever the fuck, you know, Mystica with Okita and, you know, Hijikata on it. And it's fun to kind of like get that nice chunk of extra stars at the end, but it's not 20-30, you don't get that many stars, but you also get an attack stat and those kinds of things, right? And it's like, I really enjoy like those different options. Then, you know, Golden Sumo is a nice, you know, baseline, middle of the road, and then you've got Art of Death for the no starting NP, so, you know, in the short term, you're doing a lot less, but in the long term, you're going to do more. I enjoy those different, you know, options and like play styles. Where the Yang CE is like, yep, I'm Art of Death, so I have the same positives and negatives, but it's just so much better that the negative is never really going to matter, right? Like, the only time the negative on the Yang CE matters is if you're doing a team fight, right? So you're bringing maybe Scatty or Waver or Castori or whatever the hell, and you really got to get the ball rolling quick. It's not about, you know, you've got the damage one way or the other, and you got to get that ball rolling quick, right? The Yang CE then is generally not going to be so good there. But there's a lot of setups that aren't going to be doing that. A lot of people don't have those supports, or they're soloing or whatever, and then it's just like, you know, it's always better. It's always better than Golden Sumo, right? It's always better than Golden Sumo. It's always better than the Kana CE. It's always better than the Wolves of whatever the hell. It's always better than, like, those kinds of things. It's always better than Limit Over Zero. It's always better than Formal Craft. Maybe the only exception to that would be if, like, a unit, it hits that break point of, like, being able to loop, right, with the art up. I will say Formal Craft is best of its style, right? Because you've got, it's Formal Craft, Imaginary Round, and Limit Over Zero. Formal Craft is absolutely the best of those three, and it still holds up today. And the reason it's the best is because it, Art Up is just the best. I mean, there's just, between all of the ups, Art Up is generally the best. Now, the exception to that is when you have so much Quick Up, you hit Critical Mass, because Quick Up just does everything, right? It does Star Gen, it does damage, and it does NP gain. Where Art Up really only does damage in NP gain, right? But it's like, Art Up is so, good at NP gain anyway, that it works out really well. Quick Up gets really busted when they hit Critical Mass, right? And that doesn't happen very often. It happens a lot because of Scatty now, but before Scatty, it was pretty rare that Quick Up could hit that kind of Critical Mass for it to, like, really matter. So overall, I would say Art Up is just the best one. Because really, Formal Craft is the only one that is, like, even in like consideration when you're talking about. By the way, me not casting Billy's second skill is screwing, like when I'm not using it turn 1 is really hurting me because he would have it back right now and he could NP again really soon. Buster Up does technically give Star Gen, it's just most Buster attacks have such a low hit count, it doesn't matter. Now there are exceptions, you know, like Scath. Scath has a really high Buster hit count, Gilgamesh has a really high Buster hit count. You know, there are high, but it's just, you can name off all these units that have a high Buster hit count, but then you, like, how many can you name off that don't, right? Like the amount of units that don't have a high Buster hit count it's just so large that generally Buster Up is going to just be damage and nothing else, right? Like there's really no world where it's anything but that. Yep, I could have Billy's thing right now and he could NP right now, so oops. We're obviously going to win though. She doesn't have sure hit anymore and the boys are here and they all have evade and who has guts and so on and so forth. What do I even go for? I have so many options right now. What the hell did I give Ku? What? Why did I give him that? What? I don't think I was really thinking about my CEs in the back, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, no, that's people say that about Botoko all the time, and it's just not accurate. Okay, first off, if for like some kind of style of setup, which there are setups where mash really is good, but if you really need mash, like later in your game, you can actually use your support. You can, you know, like you can still use regular mash through support. But Botoko is good regardless. Botoko is not just useful because it's harder to use regular mash now. That's not, you know, this is why Botoko is good. She gives you a 3-turn art up. She gives you a 3-turn crit up. She gives you a 3-turn attack up. She gives you a 3-turn defense up. And she gives you a 3-turn anti-Roman buff for the whole team. That's a lot. And then she also has guts, right? And there are some fights where guts is just like the best thing ever, right? I think people, I have felt this so hard with Botoko. Right, I've been playing this game for a long fucking time, right? And I've kind of watched the player base react to all kinds of things. So when a unit gets a very significant buff, like Hohenheim, the player base absorbs that, right? They really do, because it's such a significant thing. Everybody remembers it. Nobody's like, oh, I forgot Hohenheim got that, right? But then you have other units like Siegfried and Botoko that doesn't happen. They get pretty nice buffs, but they don't like just revolutionize the unit so much that they become like a massive staple, and then a huge amount of the player base literally forgets what they got, and they're forever in the mindset that unit is how they were, right? And I've seen that so much with Botoko, and people just forget that her first skill now isn't just anti-Roman. It's anti-Roman for the whole team. And it's a 50% crit buff for 3 turns, and that goes with her, you know, 20% art buff that's also 3 turns, and her attack up that is also for 3. Like, this is very significant, right? She has a very nice budget art support that has some really nice survivability. She's not the best ever, and she's still a bit on the niche side, but she's a pretty nice 3-star now. I think the biggest problem with her is most people don't want to invest the mats into her, and that's why I don't use her on a lot of my side accounts. That's the whole reason I haven't leveled her like on this account right here, is because I don't want to, you know, she takes bones and void dust. So I'm like, I don't want to do that right now, right? That's the whole reason. But you know, she's still very useful. I think her first skill is like the thing that everyone just forgets about. They're like, oh yeah, it gives everybody a crit buff now, right? They just forget that. Like she's pretty nice, especially for art teams, right? Like let's say you're using Lancelot or something and Saber Lancelot. She's a great support for that. You know, and everyone's like, oh, but she's a rider. That doesn't fucking matter. Most teams like that are doing crit stuff make so many stars. They don't care. Like riders, like her inherent star absorb is 196. That's nothing. Like that's nothing. No one's inherent star absorb is high enough for that to really be that big of a deal. That matters if you make 15 stars, right? If you're using Saber Lancelot, do you think Saber Lancelot gives a flying fuck if Boudica has 196 Star Absorb, when he's over there with like, it's like, 6,000 or some shit, right? It's like, he don't give a fuck. Right, and there's a lot of units like that. And then if you're using Mozart, you make 50 stars, who cares? Then Babbage makes 30 stars, you don't really care. Then Babbage has a Star Absorb skill. It doesn't, like, the only time you're gonna care about like a rider's inherent Star Absorb is if you're using like Billy the Kid, and you're only gonna have like 20 to 30 stars, and that's it. Because like with Babbage, you might say, oh, it's 30 stars, but you're probably gonna use Babbage's third skill after already making like at least 10 stars, and now you have 40 stars. Right, and it's not like Boudica's gonna have 5 stars in the wheel, right? Well, I mean, that can happen, but, you're probably not in that situation, so it's like, it's like, who gives a fuck? Like, people exaggerate so much about riders, dude. I see people always saying George is bad because of rider Star Absorb. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that is so dumb. Like, most setups with George aren't necessarily gonna be crit setups anyway, and if they are crit setups, a lot of them are gonna be making so many stars or have so much Star Absorb they don't care. So it only matters for the teams that are crit teams and are not using Star Absorb and are not making 50 stars. That's not a lot of teams. Like, it's just not. Like, that's not a big thing. All right, so I do want to test Canis soon, but I'm not going to test it here just because the quick down here, I want to test it in a way more normal circumstance, right? So it's just, I don't feel like that's just the time to do it.
決闘了解さらさあ
What are we talking about with Cersei here?
先に抜いてもいいよ僕の方が早いからファイヤー
But yeah, Cersei's NP damage is pretty bad.
よし勝った見ていてくれたかい
The thing is, most Berserkers that have Star Absorb have so much Star Absorb, they're still going to crit. Now, there are exceptions to that. Not every Berserker has such a high Star Absorb skill that they're going to crit no matter what. But even the ones that don't are still going to get well ahead of what a default rider Star Absorb is, like George and Boudica or Alex or whatever, right? Like, it doesn't matter. And then some riders, it's good that they have higher default Star Absorb. Like Ozzy, right? Now, yeah, sure, sometimes Ozzy is more of a support, but a lot of times Ozzy's going to be a DPS. And if Ozzy's your DPS, you're kind of happy if he gets crits anyway. So it's fine. Like, people really exaggerate about, like, oh god, riders with their inherent Star Absorb. It's like, it's not even that much Star Absorb. And a lot of times it's a good thing anyway. And like, archers generally have kind of higher Star Absorb too. So like Boudica's 196. Let's see, what is Billy? Billy's 150. That's really not that different at all, right? So if you bust out like 35 or 40 stars, Boudica's not running things. She's really not. Like, that's just silly. Now, yeah, Billy doesn't have a Star Absorb skill, so, it's, not ideal, but, yeah, I think they did that on purpose with Noob Berserker, and I actually think that's fine. Like, she does have a worse Star Absorb skill than normal, but she also, most Berserkers don't actually give the team stars on their own. They're relying on someone else to, like, use a skill or an NP or whatever. Where I would say use quick cards, but nobody gets stars in that way anymore, unless you have Jack. It's like Jack and Enkidu. It's like and maybe Jet Kita and a couple other ones, but like generally speaking, nobody makes stars through quick cards anymore. That's not really a thing. It's all through NPs and skills and that kind of thing, which kind of sucks, but it just shows how badly designed Quick was, or really still is. Like, the reason Quick is good is just because their Band-Aid fixes for it was so ridiculous. Okay, I have no idea what the stage is. Let's go with what? What do we want to? Hey, look, we could use Yang with the use Yang with the Canis CE. That's almost what it is. I actually, if you put it on Phantom, that is kind of how it goes. If you get Phantom, like, seriously, if you take Phantom and you don't, not just the Yang CE. So let's say, because this Yang CE, for example, is not limit broken, right? So that kind of adds up. But let's say you had a limit broken Yang CE that was level 100, right? So it gets that big attack stat. So you've got that, and then you have command codes. You have the best command codes, right? And then the best mystic code. All that. At that point, Phantom is definitely doing less work than the stuff you know, enhancing him, right? The Mysticode skills are way better than Phantom skills. There's no way around that. So that's already a thing. The amount of damage you're going to be getting between the command codes and the CE and like the 2000 attack stat from the CE and everything like that. Like, the only thing really Phantom is providing at that point is just the health, right? That's about it. What do we want to use here? That's a nice Leonidas. Although I'm surprised he's Grailed and 888. Nice Ushi update, yeah. Fuck it, let's do something random. Let's use, you Lancer. We don't use her much. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, we're allowed to use Herc, right? This is a thing. We can put him in the front. Go damage Herc, let's go. We fear nothing. Although his NP does so little damage because he's NP 1. Can we get a free 4-star ticket sometime, by the way? That would be swell. Get my Herc you know, up to snuff here. Although at this point, it just makes more sense for him to be in the back, because then other people don't have cards, right? But it's more fun, though. This is gonna nerf his Buster card damage a lot if I do this. Do that. That's always a thing. But no, his MP damage isn't good enough. This is probably humanoid. We'll just do that. Man, I want this limit broken because it's another one that like I think could be kind of good. It needs to be max, it needs to be level 100, MLB, all that stuff, but one of these days I want an account with that MLB because I think it might, I'm not sure, but I think it might, on a few units, be pretty useful. Not better than the Yang CE by any means, not even close to that, but we shall see. Trying to bring a variety of classes because I have no idea what I'm fighting. And before this is trash mobs and I'm over preparing. And basically everybody plays FGO for fun. Everyone, like, that's, people play video games for fun. I think people forget that sometimes when they're playing though, and they get wrapped up in the efficiency nonsense. But the whole point of video games is entertainment, so. Alright, give me a second, I need water. Oh. I didn't remember this being this early at all. Huh. Well now, anyway, that sucks for you. I was hoping I'd win, you know, with the male or female lottery there, but we did not. Alright, I'm back. You know, I wish, and I feel this way about a lot of units, and I'm actually really curious how chat feels about this kind of thing. I wish Lancer U did not have the anti-mail thing, but it had better general use. And her general use is okay, but I would rather her not, like, even if her effectiveness, her like peak effectiveness was worse, but her average was better, I would prefer that. I don't really like a lot of the units where they're so reliant on a niche. Even if the niche comes up a decent amount of time, it still doesn't come up, you know, that often. So it's like, sometimes I don't, some units I think it's okay. I think where they've done it well is like Ruler Martha. Because Ruler Martha kind of, she's a ruler anyway, and they're already in this kind of, you know, kind of effective against everything, but not super effective against anything, except for Moon Cancer. But because they are tanky against everything, it basically means you use them against whatever like her third skill is, right? She gets the half damage taken, right, against basically everything. And then so if her third skill activates, she's like full on counterclassing, and her third skill activates against more things than like a regular class, right? There's more things that Martha's third skill works on than there are Lancers or than there are Archers, right? So I think it worked out kind of well for her because of that, because she is a ruler. I think rulers kind of work well in that kind of gameplay. But like for a Lancer, you need them to be a Berserker or an Archer, and then you also need this other niche. It's just like, I never really like that. That's why I don't like Uriel's gameplay. Because her peak is so high, but her average is so low. It's like, it kind of sucks. I have not found that design to be very enjoyable for very many units. You know, yeah, it can be hilarious when, you know, some units have, like, when their niche pops up. Like, for example, if you're fighting a Divine Archer, you know, Scath is hilariously good, right? At least with Scath, though, her average is fine. You know, her normal gameplay is fine. But a lot of other units aren't quite at that point. Hey, look, it's a command code that's probably not going to work. I'm going to use it anyway. Gonna listen for that sound effect. Nope. And no NP gain. Yep, nothing happened. I voted on the poll. Can we like why we have so much like off-topic nonsense? Like we have like 2 people in chat that are just going on about the same thing forever. Can we just knock that off? Like we have like 2 people like completely monopolizing chat for like the last 30 minutes, and it's just kind of like no one else cares. I love that animation, by the way. She literally just headbutts the hell out of you with the statue. Like, it's just amazing. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about Sanson, but Sanson is a good example of what I was talking about. Why do I have an evade? Am I missing some? Why do I have an evade? Is there a gimmick here? Like, I didn't give him the CE with evade on it. Why do I have a one-hit evade for 1 turn? I'm so confused right now. This might get awkward. Sanson is an excellent example of a well-designed unit with several useful niches and a unique deck that complements his NP in a strange yet effective way. I wish what was just said was true, but it's not. I guess I guess this just gives you an evade skill at random. That's kind of a joke battle there. Although she does NP really rapidly. I might need to take this a little seriously, we'll see. Depends on how many health bars you have to get through. I didn't need to taunt there, I could have waited.
Funny thing is, Herc, unironically, is very quick, like in lore, like lore-wise, story-wise, right? He's very fast. Like, Emi even makes note of how, like, surprisingly fast he is. Like, what the hell? Only one turn on that. Probably don't NP then. You know what? Let's do that. I actually should put you last. Hey, X-Ert, I guess. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, man. I appreciate it. Okay, how do we want to do this? If the boss battle ends here, I'm going to be extremely mad. Also, random Fate Stay Night trivia. This is something I think a lot of people have either never known or just forgotten, because it's something that they haven't really brought up since Fate Stay Night. Medusa, like regular Rider Medusa, is actually like very good with like magic nonsense. She qualifies for caster because of that. And even as a writer, she can like mess with people's incantations and stuff. So she's actually like, yep, what a dumb fucking battle. Okay, game. Anyway, so like they make note in like her character material of how good she is at fighting most like casters. She struggles kind of with Medea, but that's because, you know, Medea's abnormal and whatnot. But because she's so fast, a lot of spells are not going to be able to hit her. And then a lot of other stuff, like curses and stuff, she can actually dispel or like intercept or, you know, fuck with because she's so knowledgeable of these things. So she's actually like a massive fuck you to most spellcasters because of that. And she can petrify them too. Although most magic users will have so much mana that her petrify won't work, but it'll still, you know, mess with them. So between her eyes, her knowledge of magic, and then her extreme speed, she's a complete nightmare for like 90% of the casters out there. What do we want to use here? This is cruel, but I feel like most people when fighting Moon Cancer probably summon a friend's Luvia. Do we? And this one is not as broken as Lost, right? Lost is like the tactical nuke, right? Where this one is just kind of like, you know, a typical, more well set up Luvia, right? Because it is a high MP rank and 10-10-10 and all that, but it's like, but I can relog. Yeah, Lost wants to blow it up. But we could do, you know, we could do Martha, we could do a Berserker, we could do Neutral. Like, we have a lot of options here. Well, I mean, Medusa was originally a goddess, for crying out loud, so she was well learned. I talked about this before. If Medusa, like, just, like, won a Grail War or just whatever, and she was just, like, in a normal context without the, like, the war going on, she wouldn't do anything. Like, if you look at her personality and, like, how she behaves outside of combat and what she does in Fate Hollow and everything, and, like, her bio, I mean, she'll read books and swim a lot. That's it. Like, she has no ambitions to, like, blow up the world or like, you know, desecrate Perseus's grave or anything. Like, she doesn't care. Like, she's not gonna do anything. Like, she's not gonna go be a superhero or any. Like, if Achilles materialized in the world, he's literally going to be like a fucking superhero, right? But no one would even know, right? She's just that one chick with purple hair. Like, no ambitions to, like, you know, fuck with, you know, the world or, you know, establish an empire or, you know, defeat some unseen enemy or whatever, right? Like, it's none of that. Well, yeah, okay. Well, let's use Noelle's. Oh god, that's the thing. We'll see. I don't know. I don't want to do counter class. That's like whenever you fight classes like this, they're normally not balanced for it. And what makes it fun is not doing that, and it lets you get like extreme value out of units at neutral.
I want to use Doman. Yeah, I kind of want to. I wouldn't mind using him because he's new, and I kind of want to see what he does. Because this is a horrible fight for him. He's neutral, not countering in any way. It's single target. He's AoE. There's like so much against him here. So if he does well, it's a a testament to his value, right? So I'm sorry, Noelle. We keep scuffing Noelle here, but I'll use something from Noelle at some point. I promise. It's just I always don't really enjoy like fighting Moon Cancer with Ruler and like fighting Rulers with Avenger. And there's exceptions. Some of them are like hard enough that it calls for it, but normally they're more fun to do at neutral, I find. And because you can use almost anything at neutral, you can do all kinds of like value setups and stuff that you normally can't. And that's kind of fun. I don't think we really need George here. What do I want to do? Although I will say this account is so limited in its options. Like our team style options are pretty bleh. The one time Luvia can counter class, like she fucking needs it. Can you imagine if she was like an alter ego, so she like semi-countered 3 things, or if she was just like a lancer, like if she was just a lancer, right? And then you fight an archer boss or a berserker boss, right? It'd just be disgusting. Although honestly, she really does work as she is because she's so tanky against so many enemy classes, and she has that defense buff, and then she's got the niche for evil. Like I mean, just like with Martha, it really does work out well for her. So Ruler kind of makes her busted. Like, sure, she would peak higher against an archer if she was a lancer, but she wouldn't be as good against everything else. She'd still be fine, though. It'd be higher peak, worse average. Man, I miss the original Fable. I really liked that game's like atmosphere and just setting and everything. And then every Fable game after it, I don't like. Like a lot of people are like, oh, Fable 2 was still good. I don't agree with that. I actually really did not like Fable 2 at all. Like the setting changed and everything, and then just the combat was so simplistic. The original combat was fairly simplistic, but it was really simplistic in 2. I'm actually one of the few people that I don't think Fable 3 was like great, but I think Fable 3 was way better than Fable 2 because Fable 3 was at least funny. Although I haven't played it in so many years, maybe I wouldn't find it funny anymore, but the only Fable game I've played even remotely recently is Fable 1. It's the only one in the Fable series that I want to go back and play again, like Lost Chapters, right? I can go back and play that, and like, yeah, this is a good time. I've had no desire to go back and play the other ones, but I do remember actually having a good time with 3, because although it was kind of linear and a lot of the things they promised were bullshit and everything, I remember at the time, I found the combat at least a bit better than 2's. Not way better, but a little bit better than 2's. And I found the game actually funny. But I should play it again sometime, because who knows, maybe now I think it wouldn't be funny at all, who knows. Good song, though. I have no idea what to give Ku. This account has kind of limited options, so, I'll be glad. It's funny, my main account, I'm like, generally when they add a new CE, I'm like, I would never use this. But this account, whenever they add a new CE, like from an event, a freebie, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I need that. I actually think Sitting Master is a much better unit than the new Saber. I actually don't think the new Saber is that good. I don't think he's bad. He's totally fine. And he's basically Rama 2, which shows kind of how out-of-date Rama is these days. But both Rama and I don't remember how to say his name, K-pop boy, but both of them are serviceable, right? They're totally serviceable. But really, I think Sitting Master, Lancelot, not Virgil, they're way better. Like honestly, I have been so surprised at how good Not Virgil is. And I knew he was going to be good, but he is definitely better than I thought he was going to be. And he's just fun. It's weird because he's pretty straightforward, but it's just fun. You click the buttons, you loop, you crit, you put debuffs on, it's just a fun thing to do. And he's like, god damn, is he good. But yeah, the new Saber guy, he's fine. He's not. If you like him, you're not going to have a problem setting him up and getting value out of his kit. Like, of course not. He's fine. But Some people are like, oh my god, this guy's like power creep. He's like, no, it's not even, not at all. Right? Yeah, I'll do that. We'll do that in his first skill. I forgot to even think, oh man, you know what? I need to level my Limbo and my ult account and stuff because, you know, on this account, it's really hard to capitalize on like the niches that Limbo has because this account has so few units leveled. But like on my main account and stuff, I mean, I could easily do like a crit setup with like, you know, evil servants and stuff. Like, so I need to mess around with that. I normally use Limbo on this account, and you know, I have fuck all to work with him. So, but yeah, on my more, I don't know, advanced accounts, you know, that have more stuff going on. This is nice. I get to, this is basically the stun. Basically means I get a free turn off my cooldown on his evade. That's kind of awesome. Man, I hate this permanent stat now, though. It just feels bad. Am I the only one that's like, can we just... Okay, sometimes, and this is obvious, sometimes they release a unit and I don't think they know how good they're going to be. And they're not really sure, right? Like, so... But there are some units, it's like, just give them an up. Just start them with an upgraded NP. Like, come on! Like... I don't get it. Some units, especially like low stars and stuff, it's just like when they're like William Tell, dude. Like what the hell? Robin already exists, and you're gonna release him like that? Like it's stupid. Like whenever they do that, I'm just rolling my eyes, and I'm like, because it's like, if you're gonna make them an actual unit, you know, 6 months to a year or 2 years from now, why don't you just release them like that, right? Like, and like Achilles. You know, releasing Achilles with an already upgraded NP, probably not a good idea, right? But like some units, it's like, yeah, we can just give them an upgraded NP multiplier. It's fine, right? You know, do it sparingly. You don't want to just do it all the time because then you're going to accidentally put out a unit and they're way too good, you know, because we have units out there that don't have upgraded NPs and they don't fucking need one. Like Luvia. Does anyone here think Luvia needs a fucking upgraded NP? Right? Like no, of course not. Well, he's a 4-star. I've seen he's decently popular. Oh, you mean Ibuki. Excuse me. I actually forgot she existed. I don't know how I did that, but I literally forgot she existed. She's pretty whatever. I literally have seen, like on her wiki page and stuff, people are saying she's power creep. That is so stupid. I cannot believe anyone thinks she's power creep. Right? And every time people start calling power creep, it's because they compare like one skill to one skill and like, oh, this is just better. That is dumb. That is so dumb because there's so many other things you have to take into account, right? Like Ibuki is so not fucking power creep, dude. Like she's fine, you know, she's okay, but the thing is, a lot of those other sabers just hit so much harder than her, and they have enough battery to get the job done, and they don't need that extra battery. And like Artoria's got the recharge, right, which means a second NP really easily and stuff. So like, it's not really a thing. But she's good, you know. I don't think Ibuki is bad. And there are situations where she will be better than, you know, like Artoria and stuff. But there are a lot of situations where Artoria or Mordred and things like that are going to be better. Like, so I'm like, yeah, this isn't even close to power creep. And that's fine. They don't need a power creep. Power creep's bad. Like, you know, when they add a new 5-star, I'm glad when they're kind of in Ibuki's range. Like, yeah, she has uses where she's going to be really meta. But, you know, maybe not all that often. But even when she's not, like, the meta, she's still good. And if you want to use her, no problem, right? That's fine, right? That's a good way to make units. Now the 4-star guy, I will say, is kind of power creep on Rama, but that's kind of because Rama is just so out of date. Oh right, she does that. Oh god. I should cast that next turn, but I was like Hans might die, so I could just dot her up. Is it? I mean, it's tempting. It would be pretty funny to do the double multiplier, and he's got his curse card. But the NP would do no damage. But it would be funny though.
You know what? Fuck it. There's no way this is right, but I just want to do it, so we doing it. Cause look at the cursed command code right there. Like, let's see if we can make something happen. Dude, I gotta use him with. I haven't done it yet. I gotta use him with Salami. There's so much synergy there. I so want to try that. I wish this account had Salami because I would do that. Like I would do it on this boss for fuck's sakes. Like I really want to see if you can get through some like typical standard boss fight setups. I think it'll work just fine. He's already got quite a bit of curse going there. Yeah, he wants another unit applying curse too, like Salami. You need okay, fuck you. She like attacked Hans a bunch last turn, and then she just triple attack. First off, it's rare that a boss triple attacks, right? They normally will catch at least one skill, and then she triple attacked and nothing but Hans, and I could have done his second skill and then done his NP again. Piece of shit elephant. I kind of want to do the art chain because we just, like, as nice as David's NP is, we kind of just want more curse because that's what we're doing. I think Arjuna's like getting a sniper rifle sight on me right now. I just badmouth the elephant. I'm so pissed that Hans died like that, dude. Like, right before getting a bunch of value, too. Man, I need to play Hades. This is from the Hades soundtrack, and it's so good. And I haven't played Hades in a long time, and apparently they've updated it a bunch. And I love that game, so I need to play that again soon. Apparently they've added, like, new weapons and stuff. I'm like, fuck yeah. I love that game. That's such a good game. Again, it's like actual indie dev, and they put so much more care into their updates and like their time management and stuff than like, I don't know, FGO does. They also have better Greek designs for the most part, by a lot. I could save Clown Boy with his guts. Now see, this is where I wish we had like Mozart. I'd be interested to see how much we could get our damage down to. If I like, and then like a defense up, right? Yeah, I'm so impressed with Hades. It oozes like polish and care, right? It's like you can tell the devs they want to do a good job. They care about what they're making, right? Like everything from the art, the music, the combat, the feedback, they're always adding new voice lines. They're always adding like new story stuff, which they don't need to, right? Like they could just leave what's there, but no, they're like, yeah, we're gonna keep adding on to like it's just great, man. Like that game just oozes quality, and it's funny. It's a genre of game that normally I'm not like huge on. I don't mind it, but it's normally not like a genre I'm big on. And with my poor eyesight, I actually kind of struggle with games like that. They can get kind of hard for me to follow. But I'm still so happy to play that game because it's just so much. You know, the quality is just so good, and it's just so much fun to see, like, you know, all their designs for the gods and all the power-ups, and the combat is actually, you know, skillful and engaging, right? I'll take the 90% crit, why not? Yeah, I'm really looking. I haven't played it in like, I don't know, 8 months or some crap, maybe even more. And it's been updated quite a few times. So I haven't really looked into the updates. I just kind of caught wind of them from like my friends playing it. So I'm super excited to check it out again. That company I have been very impressed with over the years. Like, they've made some games that really aren't up my alley. Like Transistor wasn't really up my alley, but it still oozed like quality and like, you know, polish. May regret the way I set up Clown here. Wow, triple attack Clown. What is this fucking...
I think Arjuna's piloting the elephant here. As far as I need to look into it more, but as far as I'm aware, it's just broken for everyone. Like it just doesn't, like right now a lot of the Twitch integration just doesn't work anymore. Wow! What the hell? What the hell, man? What, just, what? Just so much clown hate. Do I NP here just to, you know, fuck it, we're doing it. We've definitely been playing the clown incorrectly, but Dead Cells is another really good game though. I really do like Dead Cells a lot. Okay, that game is hard as hell, dude. That is such a tough game, but I really enjoy it. I'm very upset about the, I've noticed this though, ever since they added the Twitch integration, they haven't supported it at all. And I think that's why it's broken right now, is they just made it, and they have all these patches since then, and they've never touched it. So it's just, it's not, you know, generally if you don't update something, it breaks eventually, right? And that's, I think it broke, and they kind of just left it there. Okay, Clown Boy can NP again next turn. We're gonna die though. I will say, oh, she has the damage reduction now, but she has less health. Dogs don't care about that, by the way. I gotta say though, this is such a bad fight for Clown Boy, and we're not supporting him worth a damn, and he's still doing fine. You know, yeah, I mean, a unit that was like more proper for this, you know, could kill it a lot faster, but because he's not proper for this, it is kind of impressive how good he's doing. I should have cast this forever ago. Dude, I am so excited to try him with Salami. Like, that's gonna be all, especially double Salami, and you could, oh, there's so much synergy there. If we had story replay, man, I'd get on that like right away. Her damage reduction's pretty big though. Did they ever add an ending to Hades? Every time I had beaten Hades, it was all like, just pretend the ending's here. Which was amazing, by the way. I love how they handled the ending during early access, because it was so funny. Like how they had like how you die even though you won, and then like the way Hades responds to you and stuff. That shit was funny, dude. And like the announcer and everything, or narrator, I loved it. They did, and that's good. I can tell you, these dots are really adding up on the poor elephant here. Come on, let the clown live for one more turn. One more turn. Wonder how much damage the dots have done throughout the whole fight. Damn it. Oh, never mind, live. She got... I mean, obviously we can just win with Robin's NP, but I want to win with the dots, but I don't think I can maintain them too much longer, because I mean, she guarded everything there. And then our next NP would probably kill her, like from the clown, so... kind of rip on that one. Alright, well, let's see what Robin can do. He's got, you know, art down, which kind of sucks, but, got the overcharge there. Clown lives! Well, yeah, no, yeah, it's close, but, he's got it. That was actually fun. That, 'cause, you know, again, Clown is just so not applicable to this boss fight, but he just has so much raw value. He still works out pretty good. I like that. And seriously, the dots actually did a good bit of damage throughout the course of the fight. So we're bullying our Arjuna here. Feels bad. They have nerf, but not much. There's no reason. The thing is, from a business standpoint, there is no reason for them to nerf anything. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like, there's not a PvP game. They have no reason to. And so people saying that Robin wasn't nerfed is wrong. Robin was nerfed because there are many bugs in this game that result in player power, and they've intentionally kept them, and they've actually shored them up. You're gonna tell me that like taunts were supposed to cancel the turn? Of course they weren't. And like Guts canceling the enemy turn when they're the only unit left, they weren't supposed to do that. Of course they weren't. But you know, before, the way taunt and like Guts worked, it was like RNG, right? But then they changed it so it's like more stable. Like the taunt, like remember taunts? It used to be. I mean, this is why it's obviously a bug, right? Obviously. So the way taunt used to work, and for years it was like this, if the enemy attacked you and killed your taunt as their first action, their turn would be canceled, right? They could cast debuffs, but they have no target. But they could not target anyone again, and they could not attack again. But if they killed you with their second action, they could. And we tested it. It doesn't matter if they were by themselves, multi-target, it didn't matter. That would always happen. And then if they killed you with the third action, the turn was over, right? That is obviously a bug, right? Like, it's clearly not how it's supposed to be, but people have been so used to it that eventually they patched it so the AI would never attack through your taunt, no matter when they killed them. So they basically made a bug a feature, right? And there's been many things like that in the game, where things that are bugs, but they result in player power, that they intentionally don't nerf them because they don't want to, nerf the player base. Robin's the same thing. He was like that for a long time. Obviously, that's probably not how they intended it. Although it's hard to say because there's no tooltips. There's no fucking tooltips! So, we don't really know if it actually was a bug or not. A lot of times developers will say something's a bug that aren't bugs. And I'll tell you what, if Robin was like how he was back then, now, they wouldn't have nerfed it. Back in the early days, I have a lot of reasons to believe that. The reason I think that is so... And first off, in the early days, they didn't want low stars to be that good. It's obvious. They didn't generally have third skills. They were just worse in general. Like, the whole design of the game early on was so scummy and was so, trying to make you pay money. They were not okay with low stars, like, doing really good things back then. Now they're okay with that. Also, break bars exist now. Break bars didn't exist back then. No one cares if a low star can hit for like 300, 400k, just a few debuffs and stuff. Nobody cares about that anymore because it's so easy to get that kind of damage now anyway. But in break bars, you don't win because Robin impede hard, right? So like if he was like that now, I don't think they would have even changed it. But back then they were not okay with 3 stars being so strong, and the game wasn't balanced around that back then. So there was a lot of reasons for them to do it. And the other one was Merlin, and Merlin, it was kind of obvious they were like, okay, we can get away with this because he's not technically released yet. But that's why they were okay with doing that one. They probably would have. I bet what they would have done is they probably would have dialed it back, but I don't think they would. I think they still would have had it work with any debuff, but I doubt they would have had it like multiply like it was. Like it was dumb. Like, let's be real. Like it was dumb. But even now, seriously, like, yeah, anytime there's a break, he'd be like Orion for low stars, right? He can get through health bars pretty easy, but because of break bars, it only goes so far. Is it bad that I want to use the clown again? I really enjoy the clown's gameplay, man, and I can't wait to use him on teams that can capitalize on it. I'm so excited to do that. But I haven't gotten to really use them on like my regular accounts yet. Man, I would use Caster Gill if we weren't fighting Riders. I'm going to regret this. I'm so going to regret that. I mean, it's not even that. You will get gold units. You're not gonna find someone that's been playing this game for like a year and doesn't have a single gold unit unless you've been burning them. Like, it's just that it's not a thing. Like, yeah, they might not. You may find something that's less than you might expect, or you know, not the ones they wanted at all and stuff. But I mean, there's no world where you don't get gold units. Because there's certain, so this is something people don't understand, and to be fair, like scientists have basically found there's certain things in math that the human brain basically can't fathom, right? You know, the human brain is good at dealing with a lot of medium stuff. Like our brain was designed to deal with like apples, oranges, lions, rocks, stick, you know, climbing. You know, it's not, our brains are not cut out for like germs and, you know, black holes and like, our brains just aren't about that, and so humans really struggle to understand. Like when scientists say like something that's like statistically impossible, people don't really know what that means, right? So the best example I can give, and some idiot is going to say that this isn't true, but it is, and like anyone that really understands this will get it. So imagine you've got a garbage truck, big beefy garbage truck, right? Now imagine how many like regular 6-sided dice you can fit in a garbage truck, right? It's a lot. Like if you fill to the brim one garbage truck, that is such an insane amount of dice, right? Now imagine you have 2 of those garbage trucks. Like now that's already getting to the point where the human brain can't really fathom how many dice that is. Right, now imagine your entire street is nothing but garbage trucks filled with dice. And now imagine your whole city. This is already so far beyond what the human brain can like really fathom in terms of numbers. Okay, and now imagine the whole country, the world. I mean, at this point, the human brain doesn't even know the difference between the city block and the whole world being full of garbage trucks with 6-sided dice, right? It's way too beyond them. Now imagine every planet in the solar system, right? Again, I just multiplied that by so much, but your brain's not going to really see that as that many more dice than what it was before, even though I just made it so exponentially so many more dice, right? Like, because some of the planets are so much bigger than Earth. That is so much dice. And now we get to what's something that is statistically, like, mathematically impossible, is if you have all those garbage trucks, you know, just, you know, dump all the dice. And no loaded dice, nothing weird, just dump all the dice. Every single dice landing on 1. Every single one of them. None of them land on like a in-between number. It's like almost 1, but it's kind of no number. It's not gonna happen. It will never happen. The universe can go on forever. Never gonna happen, right? And people think infinity means everything will happen. It doesn't. That's not how that works. Like a lot of things will just never happen, no matter how many times like it goes down. Now, a lot of things, it takes a lot of effort for something to become mathematically impossible, right? There's such a difference between what I just said versus like the odds of pulling a 5-star, right? The mathematical difference there is so massive that it's not really the same thing. But if you play this game for a long time and you're using the SQ that you get, and you got welfares and you got the free 4-star ticket, and you know, just getting 4 stars are gold too. It's like you're not gonna have somebody that plays this game for that long and never gets a gold. It's you're not going to find it, right? Like you might as well claim that, but they're not going to be able to prove it, right? Anybody that streams or like, you know, really, you know, make sure people can follow what they're doing, you are never going to find somebody that plays this game actively for a year and doesn't have a gold. It's never going to happen, not once. Because first off, you know, you have welfares and all that shit, and that's just obvious. But if you're actually rolling within that year, right, and 4 stars count, it's just, there's no fucking way you're not getting golds. And for God's sakes, you also get a gold out of your tutorial summon. Like, people act like, you know, it's only free to play if it's all 1 to 3 star, but meanwhile, every free to play account ever has a whole bunch of not one. I just find this so funny. Everyone that bitches about this kind of thing, when you actually look at their account, they've hardly leveled any 1 to 3 stars. I see this all of the time. When people say something's not free to play, and they say because not every single thing on it is a 1 to 3 star, and then you look at their account, and they have like 1 3-star leveled, if that. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. Like, it is so easy to be a free-to-play and level nothing but golds. Like, it's actually really fucking normal. Look at this account. I have more golds than I have leveled units. Like, what the fuck, right? It's like, it's not hard to do. Now, it's not, I will say, and this is where people go astray, it's not smart to only level your golds, because the odds of you getting golds, like, let's say you get 8 golds, right? The odds of those 8 golds covering 8 different, like, niches or, you know, roles, like, oh, I got a single target archer and a single target rider and a single target, like, that's not gonna happen, right? You're gonna have, like, things that are, one, just bad, let's be real, not a lot of golds aren't so great. But you're gonna have a lot of, like, oh, I got like an AoE archer and a single target archer, right? Like that's not really covering your bases that well. Or I got 2 AoE archers, right? Really not covering your bases very well. I was actually watching a streamer not too long ago that was pretty new to FGO. He just got into Camelot, because it's always the time that I pay attention is when people get to Camelot. And my god, he just had not made good leveling choices, right? Like, he had leveled mostly golds, very few silver and bronze. And a lot of the golds that he'd picked were pretty much all AoE. Like, almost, and AoE's fine, but he pretty much not leveled any single target. He leveled like maybe like 1, and it wasn't a, you know, a saber, or it wasn't an archer or a berserker, so not very applicable for Gwaine, right? And he just got so annihilated, he got so annihilated by Gwaine, because he just didn't have anything, even though he had all these golds. There's always people claiming, oh, I did this and that and I didn't get a gold and stuff, but they never have any proof of it. And of course, like, people get unlucky. You can go through some, you know, long streaks without getting like a rated up 5-star. You can go through some very long streaks with that, because it's only 1%, right? Well, actually, I think it's like slightly higher than 1% now. Anyway, so like that kind of shit's of course gonna happen, but there's a big difference between not getting a rated up 5-star and not getting a gold at all. I guess that's not a thing. Like, I see people bitch about this stuff all the time. I get, because, you know, I stream and YouTube and all this stuff. I get exposed to this stuff constantly. People are always saying, you know, I've gone like 2 years and I don't have a single gold. It's like, it's bullshit. And they never prove anything, right? And then anytime you see anybody, you know, actually streaming, so you can like follow, you know, document what they're doing throughout the year or whatever, you know, or they share screenshots, lots. There's nobody that doesn't have any golds. It's not a thing. Now, sure, you may not get the golds you want at all. Like, there's absolutely people that just get, like, no fucking, you know, golds that they want, and that happens, sure. The thing is, and this is why I don't spend money on FGO, $300 does not buy you very many rolls. It just doesn't. Like, that's why I don't spend money in this game. It's like, the cost to what you gain ratio is so bad. It's so bad, right? And it's kind of depressing when you think about it. Like on my main account right now, I've got about 2,000 SQ, and it's all free to play SQ, right? And then when you think about how much, money it costs to match that, it's stupid, right? Like the amount that your boom for your buck is really crap in this game. Like, it's really crap, and then you don't even know what you're gonna get with that boom. So that's why I never advocate for spending money on this game. I can understand people that, like, this is like the mindset that I can get behind the most for spending money on this game. Is when it's like, okay, I'm gonna spend like 20 bucks a month on it, and I'm not even gonna necessarily roll. I'm just gonna spend 20 bucks a month on it and just get that SQ from it. And then whenever I want to roll, however much I've saved up, you know, I go with. That I can understand, right? But the idea of like spending until you get, or, you know, it's not gonna pan out. If you really want something, this is the best way to get it in FGO, is don't roll on anything except that thing. There's a reason why basically every time I have a million fucking accounts, there's a reason why when there's that one thing I really want, I always get it, because I don't roll on things that I kind of want, right? Unless the only time I'll do that is like if I have so much SQ saved up, or like on the main account I have, you know, I already have all my favorite stuff, right? So I don't care as much, but like that I see this all the time where people, they will only save up to like 300 SQ and then they're surprised Pikachu when they don't get the 5-star. I'm like, nice willpower, bro. It doesn't even take that long to save up to 300 SQ, right? So I'm like, I don't get it, right? And like, yeah, so the one person I've seen complain that beyond deserves to complain, and I cannot give enough sympathy to, I think it's Noob. Oh yeah, right there. Yeah, Noob has all of my sympathy because Noob did everything you can do as a free-to-play, and then did get golds, did not get the rate up, right? Because Noob saved pure free-to-play, and I'm curious, Chad, if I feel like this story is so much sadder because it's pure free-to-play, right? So Noob saved up for like a year or something, right? Or more than a year, and had over 2,000 like SQ, right? Saved all the SQ for all the time for Edmund. And when Edmund came out, although Noob did get golds, none of them were Edmund, right? I legit think that feels worse because now maybe if you're like poor and you spend money that you shouldn't, that's really bad, right? But like if some rich guy spends a bunch of money and doesn't get the rate up, I don't think anyone really cares, to be honest. But when somebody, goes pure, it's a long time, man, to save up that much for that long, and you're doing everything you can to put the statistics in your favor, and you're at like 99%, right? And then you get to be that 1%. It's kind of like, okay, and yes, that's why we need pity. No one should have, like, you should be, if you save up that much and you wait that long, you deserve to get the thing. And that's why basically every single game ever has a safety net, right? No one should save up that long and not get the thing. Nobody. That's stupid. And FGO is pretty much the last game that can happen in, which is why I think it's so outrageous, like on the 5th year anniversary, they did not add a pity system. Like, it's like, way to go, Dinosaur. And from a business standpoint, it's not even smart, right? Because more people will roll to hit the safety net and give you money. So it's just like, it's stupid. I mean, I don't want anybody to get screwed over by bad RNG, right? Like, I don't want it. I want everybody to get whatever it is that they're aiming for, right? Even if it's units that I don't like. I hope people get, like, Ibuki or whatever in one summon ticket, right? I don't want anybody to have a bad time, but it's not smart to. And another thing, and this is a big part of why I play this game. If I miss a 5-star, I'm not gonna. It's fine, right? I enjoy this game for the gameplay. If I got to be that 1%, it's not even 1%. It's not. But if I just had awful luck, right? And every time I got a 5-star, it was a spook instead of a rate up. And like I just could not get the I couldn't get in Kidu and Mordred and blah 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 blah. I would still play this game because I like the 1 to 3 stars, and the game is more fun with 1 to 3 stars anyway. And so I'm like, yeah, the free stuff here is good enough, and this is what will get me to play a game, right? And this is why like I'm okay playing Genshin Impact, right? It's like, although I guess Genshin Impact has a safety net, but let's say it didn't. Anyway, it's like if what the game offers you out of the box is a worthwhile experience, everything else is a bonus, right? If I can sit down and play FGO and just use 1 to 3 stars and have a really fun time, the fact that maybe I'd have slightly more fun if I had these other units, that doesn't really matter to me, because it's free. Like Genshin Impact is a good example of this. It gives you this awesome open world, gives you loads to explore. The amount of hours you'll get out of Genshin Impact before you run out of like this exploration stuff to do is so high. It's like, how can anyone complain about that? They give you a bunch of characters for free with like all kinds of different personality types and different gameplay, and you this huge world to explore and a lot of bosses to fight and stuff. It's like, it's all free. Like, so I don't care if I don't get yeah, it's annoying when you save up a lot or whatever and you don't get the thing, sure, right? Like when I was trying to get Bido, right? I wanted to get Bido when she was rated up, and I had not used any of my SQ in that game, and I got the other 4 stars 6 times, and I got Bido once. I'm like, yes, that's annoying, but I wouldn't have, if I got Bido 0 times and I got the stupid Lollycat 7 times, I wouldn't have like quit the game. Like, I wouldn't even thought about it, right? Because if I was ever playing a game where something like that would get me to quit, I wouldn't be playing the game in the first place, right? Like, that, if that's the reason you're playing, that's not healthy, and that's not good, and that means you don't enjoy the game enough, right? So it's like, you just, you know what? It's Ricky time. It's fucking Black Grail Ricky time. Please tell me this is a boss and not like a bunch of Berserker trash mobs, because this is gonna be really bad if this is a bunch of Berserker trash mobs, but, let's see what happens here. But yeah, it's like if there was a character in like FGO that if I didn't get them I would quit the game, I would never have started FGO in the first place. Right? There's a reason I started playing FGO when I heard that they were being way more fair to the 1 to 3 stars and they were adding good boss content, like gameplay. That's why I started. I didn't start because they added some 5 stars. I'm like, oh, they look so cool, right? Then, because I saw that they had added Edmund and stuff before I started playing, and I was like, yeah, I like Edmund Dantes a lot. I like the design. He's, you know, that actually is pretty serious. It's not like some stupid shit. But that didn't even remotely tempt me to try FGO. What got me to finally play FGO was like, oh yeah, they added Grails. They give 3 stars third skills now. You know, they're adding bosses that are actually like make you use your brain and stuff. That's what got me to play, because you know the game is good. Because I really think if you're only playing a game for like the gambling hook and like the rush of getting a new unit or whatever, you really need to examine why you're playing the game, right? You might want to, like, you know, it's fine to enjoy that stuff. It's fine, you know, like I enjoy when I get, you know, bullshit out of the gusher and whatnot. But if that's the only reason I'm playing, you know, that's going to pretty much, you know, really like tempt you into spending money you shouldn't spend, and that's not healthy, right? So I really, you know, caution people against that kind of stuff. You know, it's your money, it's your time, you do whatever you want with your life. It ain't up to me, you know, but I really do think it's something to worry about when the only reason you're playing a game is, you know, so that has nothing to do with the game and just like an unlocked, you know, gambling high, right? That's not, that's not great. But anyway, what does frustrate me with FGO though is just a lot of other games are getting better and better about having better business models and being fairer and, you know, that kind of thing. And FGO, it has gotten better than it was day one, sure, but it's still such a fucking dinosaur in comparison to like literally every other thing out there. Yeah, I always just ignore stupid shit like that. It's like, I mean, I don't know, sometimes I put it on blast just because it's funny, but oh my god, it's, some of it's too, I'm just getting older. Like, a lot of the stuff, like, that I see, like, the shit Rex gets sometimes, I'm just like, I just can't even, I don't even care anymore. It's like, you see it so, it just, you really start to notice things, right? Like, for example, I knew the second, like, with the Irisville tree thing, the second, like, a lot of people on NA did Irisville versus the tree when it hit there. And I knew in advance exactly what was going to happen, and I already knew the type of morons that were going to start leaving comments in like the replies to what Rex says in my videos and stuff. I already knew, right? I didn't need to actually know any of those people personally. I already knew some idiot was going to have that thought train, right? And it's like the older you get, you start seeing those things, right? There's like, you know, every time it's kind of like I remember that time I think it was, what was it? I think it was like Ricky Boy. It was like time Ricky Boy failed to solo something or something, right? And so I saw the fail screen pops up, right? And it showed my SQ, right? And I remember getting quite a lot of comments about people saying I was a whale, or, you know, fuck you, you're not free to play, or you know, why you're just showing off your SQ or whatever. And I hadn't even thought about it, right? I literally hadn't even thought about it, right? And then I remember the next time I died and failed to solo something, I covered up my SQ because I was, you know, but I already knew what was gonna happen, and it did, right? You just get the other stupid fucking comment. Like, I had so many people, I actually have a screenshot of it. I have a screenshot, I mean, I'll show this. It's just like, it gets to the point where you know what's gonna happen, and it's like, you have such a low opinion of the, but you, no matter, there's always gonna be stupid, right? Like, no matter what you do, there's always gonna be stupid. And you get to the point where it's just like, whatever, right? It's just like, you know, there's going to be dumbasses, and it can legitimately be very like cathartic and funny, right? To like put that stuff on blast sometimes, right? But you can't lose sleep over it, right? It's because it's always going to be there anyway. So there's no point in like losing sleep over it, right? It's silly. I'm trying to fix my camera because the way I organize this, it's kind of hard to see the damn thing. All right, let's see if I fit this properly. No, I did not fit this properly. But anyway, I got all these, like, you know, fucking comments, you know, just like people like, wow, I'm annoyed that you're hiding it and whatnot. It's like the top one was just, and there was more than just this too. But that stuff's predictable, right? After you do stuff on the internet enough, or you just interact with enough people, you start to, you know someone's gonna always have a bad take, right? No matter what it is, someone's gonna have a bad take. Somebody's gonna say you're using a 5-star when it's a 4-story support. You know, somebody's gonna say it's not free to play because you have halfway decent CEs, even if all the CEs are unlimited or welfare, right? Like, somebody's gonna, you're always going to get that kind of thing. And like the comments Rex got, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was gonna happen so long ago. I was like, at some point, someone's gonna do this, and then all these people who don't even know where the meme came from are gonna, you know, start giving Rex shit over this, and it's and it happened, and it's like, of course it does, you know, because people are just fucking idiots, man. Yeah, literally no free-to-play player ever just uses bronze characters, because you can be free-to-play and have other things. It's like, it's not even hard. What I really strive to do in my videos when I'm trying to like be helpful to people, like, first off, I have a huge bias towards using units that I just like. I don't know if people, if people haven't noticed that yet, something is wrong with you, right? Like, do you really think Billy has been better than Robin every time? It's like, no. Overall, Robin's a lot better than Billy, right? I love Billy, but Robin's a better unit, right? That's just, it is what it is, right? I use Billy because I like Billy. I do that all the time. I do that with a lot of things. So I try to find a balance between things that I like versus what's useful and practical and whatnot. But overwhelmingly, what I try to, and it annoys me because so many, you know, people miss this, especially like, you know, the detractors out there. I jump through hoops to try to make my setups not about the specific units necessarily, and if it is about a specific unit, it is someone like David or something that's like everybody can have it no matter what. I try to make the setup, the mindset behind the setup. Okay, you want to kill this guy first. You want to have kind of a tanky unit. You want to be able to have like a taunt unit. You want to have a single target this or an AoE that or a survivability or anti-debuff. It's not about you have to have this exact thing, right? I overwhelmingly try to keep stuff like that out of my videos. I try not to use things like the Yang CE because it's like it's that or bust. Right, or try to not use like, you know, Poster Girl because it's that or bust. There is no alternative, right? Where if you use like, you know, this, there's all kinds of alternatives to this, right? If you use George, there's all kinds of alternatives to George. If you use like Jerker, there's a lot of alternatives to Jerker. There's loads of them, right? And so it's like those things aren't like specific. It's not like, oh wow, if you don't have Jerker, you couldn't do a setup like this at all. Like no, there's all kinds of ways you could do that. So that's overwhelmingly what I try to do in my videos. And some people are just too stupid to pick up on that or even to know how to apply the theory behind a team to their own team. And people that are that stupid, I don't actually care about. Like, because they're the idiots that, you know, leave all the dumbass hate comments. And although most haters, it's not even that. Overwhelmingly, most haters are just bad at the game. They tried to beat a boss with a bunch of golds. They failed miserably. They used command spells. And then they watch somebody, you know, do it more free to play, and they try to discredit it, so they don't feel bad about using those. And I know this because so often when you talk to these people, you find out it's like I did this with a bunch of golds and command spells, and you know, and blah blah blah. Like that's happened a million times. It's like it's just obvious. Yeah, there's such a difference between MLB K-Scope and K-Scope. Like for example, K-Scope's a good example of what I'm talking about, right? So like a regular K-Scope is mimicable by a lot of things. If you don't have a K-Scope, first off, you might have like a better DPS unit that just has more like, you know, battery or something, right? So that can make up for it. But also, you can have the Sakura CE, or sometimes you don't even need like 60 or 70%. Sometimes you just need the 50%, right? And there's loads of 50% CEs. So a lot of setups that use K-Scope, you know, they don't need it, right? Because they could like, okay, I'll just wait a turn and like, you know, get my NP the normal way, then do it, or just a stronger unit or whatever. Like it's weird to me that I see like that one video I posted with Mash, where she had K-Scope and I had her NP, you know, after using her second skill. It didn't even matter. Her NP did like nothing. It was just I just did it because I was like, I don't know what else to do with her. It didn't matter. And I saw people saying you need K-Scope for this, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, literally, it doesn't matter if Mash NPs on turn 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't matter. Or if she never even NPs at all. It literally doesn't matter. And, like, normally the setups have more than one turn of wiggle room. So who gives a shit if you have to wait a turn to use your NP, right? It doesn't matter. Now, what isn't mimicable, like a team having K-Scope is so mimicable by someone that doesn't have K-Scope, because might have Sakura limit broken, might have 50%, might have a better battery unit, might summon a waiver from their friend that gives you a little bit of NP charge. All these things can make up for if someone uses K-Scope, regular K-Scope, and you don't have it, right? A million ways to deal with that. There is no way to deal with someone having MLB K-Scope though. There's just it's funny that it's just 20%, but 20% is all the difference, because 20% is the difference between having to use some other ability, or having to do an art chain, or having to wait a turn or two, or having to get attacked, or having to use your own personal resource, like Billy with the battery skill. It's the difference between having to use one of those things or have access to one of those things versus just being able to not have to do anything and just instantly go into your NP. And it's so wide-reaching, right? So let's say something as budget-friendly as Asterios, right? There's a huge difference between Asterios and an Asterios with an MLB K-Scope. Because an Asterios with an MLB K-Scope can come in from the back row because you used the Switch Mystic Code or George died or whatever and just instantly nerf the boss, right? So let's say you're fighting a boss like Abigail, right? And there's a lot of bosses like Abigail. Or Ushi, right? Ushi had the whole buff removal thing. So let's say it's Ushi's time to NP. You could do, the Switch Mystic Code, bring in Asterios with MLB K-Scope and NP her, and now her NP won't do anything. You cannot, that is a fundamental style of play that cannot be done if you don't have an MLB K-Scope, right? I mean, yeah, you could, I guess, mimic it to a degree. You might have your friend's waiver, and you switch in Asterios, and then use waiver's 2 skills, and then he does it. So there's, I guess, a degree where it's somewhat doable, but it's a huge change. It's a huge change. K-Scope to MLB K-Scope is such a night and day difference. And, another reason why I don't mind using K-Scope in videos, I try to be sparing with it. I don't use a whole team of K-Scope. But a random K-Scope on one unit in a video, it's nothing. Cause yeah, if you have to replace it with the Sakura CE instead, or you have to wait an extra turn or two to get that NP, it's probably not that big of a deal. And most people have K-Scope. Most people have K-Scope. That's just a fact. It's yeah, some people don't have it, but overwhelmingly, the majority of players have at least one K-Scope, or if they don't have one K-Scope, they have an MLB Sakura CE. It is very rare that someone doesn't have either of those things. And if you're one of the few bastards that doesn't have one of those two things, then you probably have a waiver, or your friend has a waiver, or Merlin. You probably have something that's going to outpace a regular K-Scope, pretty easily, right? So it's it's not something that actually affects the style of a team. It's just not. All right, let's see. What are we doing here? Let's do Hans, David, and then I need George is already on here. Let's do that, whatever. I don't need Herc because, well, I mean, maybe this stage is hard, but I highly doubt it. Because basically what people want you to, what I find just weird, is what people want you to do to act to be the ultimate free-to-play, which they wouldn't even know, but they want you to use all 1 to 3 stars, no limited, no story locked, and then all 1 to 3 star CEs. Which, that's stupid. Literally that's stupid, right? Because 1, no one is that limited, and 2, the kind of setups you have to do to make that kind of setup work are going to be so reliant on 2 things. Your skill ranks and everything being maxed the fuck out, and a lot of luck. A lot of luck, right? And that makes the team so much worse, and because most people are, they might have David and they might be able to manipulate, okay, you have George die, then David comes in and then saves everyone with the evade, right? That's easy to mimic, even if your skill ranks aren't high. Any kind of setup that's beating a hard boss with 1 to 3 stars and 1 to 3 star CEs and no grails, it's going to be completely unmimicable by almost the entire player base, because it would only be, it's going to be such a specific setup using a bunch of niches maxed out and then getting really lucky, right? And I know this because I've done it. I've done an account that's 1 to 3 star units and 1 to 3 star CEs, and it's that shit is not mimicable by almost anyone, because it's so value starved, right? It's so fucking value starved. And what I really try to teach people, when people want to get better at the game and stuff, is people gotta learn how to use what they got, right? It's like if you have Hercules, that means you're really strong in certain areas, but you're still going to be weak in other areas. So you need to compensate for those areas that you're weak in, because Hercules does not counter everything, like not even close, right? But he does counter certain things, right? So it's about making sure you know how to capitalize on your account straight. Like if you have a K-scope, you need to know how to use that. But if you don't have a K-scope, what can you do in place of it, right? That's what is useful for like getting good at this game. And it's just, it gets old when you have to like, anytime use anything even, you know, halfway rare. Like now, I remember, oh my god, I know every welfare ever. This is a funny one. Anytime a welfare is recent, nobody cares if you use a welfare. Anytime a welfare is, it's older, now they care, right? Like, it used to be, it was, you know, totally budget to use Rider Kentoki. Now it's like, everyone freaks out if you use Rider Kentoki, right? Because, you know, and I get it. Newer people get in the game, they don't have that thing. But I still don't think, as good as Rider Kentoki is, and no shade for Rider Kentoki, you're a great unit, but he's not so good that he's, he doesn't, like, I literally did that Saber boss with Rider Kentoki on stream, and then I did it with Ricky Boy off stream, and it was the same style of setup, right? It was the same thing. The only difference was Ricky Boy took like an extra turn or two to kill the caster, right? It doesn't matter. The team doesn't lose because Ricky Boy took a little bit longer, right? It doesn't, it's irrelevant, right? Like, it's not like, because you don't win or lose by one turn normally outside of, you know, some very hard fights. Also, I was actually really annoyed with this for that Ricky Boy video for the K-pop saber. Most of the time, Ricky Boy actually kills Medea Lily way faster. Like, normally he's able to loop his NP a lot faster than I did. He got such bad luck in the video. I almost restarted because I was like, this is not fun. Normally Ricky gets to just flatten the boss, get his NP back so fast, and then flatten the boss again. But I was like, it's, you know, it's kind of fun to win when something like that goes really wrong. But yeah, that was really frustrating to me. So the thing about Ushi is way worse at looping than Ricky and Kentoki. Her damage is great, and she actually has better survivability than both of them. Like literally, they're pretty balanced. Overall, I say Kentoki is better because he has so much damage, right? And it's not in one place, it's sustained. Kentoki has sustained damage. He NP, he crit, he NP again, right? It's just very good. But Ushi keeps up. Ushi's comparable. I don't think she's as good, but she's, you know, she keeps up to a degree. And Ushi does give the team stuff. She gives the team NP gain, and she gives the team attack up. You know, that's nice. And she has better survivability than both Ricky and whatnot. But so the problem with Ushi is really just the fact that she doesn't repeat NP very well. Like, that's the whole problem. She's not the worst, but she's mostly one-stop shop for drop the bomb, and then, you know, maybe you have some survivability and, you know, lingering value here, but you don't NP with Ushi twice too often unless maybe the boss is AoE or something like that. Like, at least on a budget team anyway, she's not so good for that. Where Ricky, it's pretty easy for Ricky to NP multiple times just because of his art up and the other art up and good gain rate and everything. And then Kentoki's got the battery and all these things. Ultimately, I like where Ushi, Ricky, and Kentoki are. They're all useful together. They're all useful in their own right. They have their own pros and cons. Sometimes one is better than the other. Overall, I would say Kentoki is the best of the three, but all three of them have their time to shine. I'm really... I used to say that I thought Ushi was overall better than Ricky, but it's... I don't know, man. I've been testing... throughout, you know, since Ricky's been added, I've been testing them against each other quite a bit. And I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just... I still kind of favor Ushi a little bit just because a lot of weaker accounts and more free-to-play friendly accounts, stuff like that, they struggle with survivability. That's a common issue with a lot of accounts where they have issues, you know, staying the fuck alive. And Ushi's just really nice with the, you know, LOL, I'm not gonna die, right? Because I have an evade button. Like, enemy's gonna NP, I'm fine anyway, right? But, I don't know, man. Ricky has just so... It's so easy for Ricky to get 2 NPs off before dying. It's so easy. Like, you can have awful luck and he'll still do it. And then you get good luck and he'll, like, double NP immediately. So it's just, like, it's pretty good. A lot of times you end up using both of them, though. I'll say that. Like, against, like, Demeter, you'll probably just use both of them. Next time I fight Demeter, like, I need it to be on, like, an account where I actually bother to level units, but, I really want to use Ricky as the main rider instead of the cleanup. Because in the video I used him as cleanup, but I actually noticed when I was making that video that he did so well as cleanup, I was like, I probably should have just used him as the main DPS. So yeah, I kind of want to do another setup that's way more focused on Riki at the start, and then maybe use Ushi as cleanup. Like, fuck it, right? Because she's an evade, that makes a good cleanup unit. So I really want to try that, because I have a feeling it's actually going to do way better. I just feel like it's up his alley, because the boss is AoE, so if they buff, I will say that will be sad. If they buff Riki's MP, he's probably going to be ahead of Ushi. But still not quite, because Uchi still has the survivability. Because there are some fights where it's, you better have survivability or you're fucking dead, right? And like, yeah, like Whales will do it with like, you know, Castoria, and just, the supports give you so much survivability you don't care. And in the supports let you win so fast you don't care. But for everyone else, you know, like there's a lot of fights where if you don't have hard like no soft survivability will save you. Healing won't save you, defense up won't save you, damage cut won't save you. There are a lot of bosses like that. It's like, it is evade, invulnerability, guts, or nothing, right? And in fights like that, Riki is way worse than Ushi. And there are fights where maybe you need a little bit of value out of a rider. You need like 1 NP out of a rider. You don't need 2. Like Medea Lily, you needed 2. You needed 2 or 1 in crits, right? Because she had health bars. But there are fights where you're only going to really need 1 caster, or, you know, or 1 rider NP for whatever reason, right? And then someone else needs to be your focus, right? Maybe a Saber, Berserker, whatever. And Ushi is really good there, because Ushi gives them an attack buff and a NP gain buff. And sometimes the NP gain buff is great. Yeah, sure, Riki can give them a buff too, but I've seen so many situations where I'm like, yeah, Ushi is just enough to get the rider value you need out of the team, and then her leftovers is still really useful to my other DPS. And oh, hey, they get an NP gain buff and an attack buff. This is really nice, right? So it's gonna be hard for Uchi not to be useful. It's gonna be very hard for there ever to be a world where Uchi's not useful, because she hits fucking hard, man, and she lived. But yeah, Uchi just needs an animation update. That's really the only thing. I think they could buff Uchi a little bit. I wouldn't want them to buff her a lot. But I think a good way to make Uchi better is actually, at this point, I would focus on her survivability. Because that's the thing for her. When you look at the other budget writers, her thing is she has survivability, and literally none of them do. You know, because Gentoki doesn't have any survivability. And so that would be a pretty, you know, good way to, like, when you need survivability, she's even better at it, right? She's got the evade, and give her something else. Give her something other kind of survivability. And then she's kind of like 100-faced, right? I think that would be pretty good. I wouldn't really make her better at looping and stuff, though. I think it's a fair con for her. I mean, a lot of times DW is confident with these things. Like, sometimes they do a good job balancing this stuff. And you can, some of those things you can really tell they think about. What normally they're bad at is, oh god, anyway. Normally what they're bad at, my god, Black Grail did nothing there. It was just hurting me that whole time, and there was never an enemy that called for Black Grail. It feels bad. This was exactly the kind of stage I did not want to do with that Riki boy there. Anyway, they're really bad at just never buffing something, right? Generally, they do a good job, especially with the low stars, at like not making the units like too derivative, and it's fine for units to be derivative to a degree, and like have more than one option in a roll. Of course, that's fine. But they generally do a good job of giving different units different pros and cons, because there's a lot of pros and cons to pick from. You know, you got utility, quick down, and healing, and hard survival, and giving your teammates hard survival, giving your teammates soft survival, you know, burst damage versus sustained damage, looping, you know, there's so many ways to make units. Like, I saw someone saying that they thought they were pretty much out of ways to make budget units. I'm like, not at all. Like, as someone that does so much budget stuff, I'm like, oh my god, there's 1,000,001 combinations that they still haven't done, and I actually wish they would do, because it would be very helpful. Like, there's still so much they can do. But I would say normally they've done a good job of, you know, putting, you know, the free-to-play units to give them different pros and cons and stuff. But where they just fail is leaving units that need to be better, and they don't touch them. Like Jin-Kei, right? You know, Jin-Kei is supposed to be the no survivability, lots of damage, but she barely does any more damage than 100 phase. So of course it's not worth it, right? There's a lot of ones like that, and like, you know, Proto-Ku. He's just so inferior to regular Ku. It's like, what's the point? And Dearmid and stuff. That's where they really fuck up. Whenever they try to put someone on par with one of their other like top tier budget units, they generally do a good job. Like, I can't even think of times where they do a bad job. Like with Babbage's buff, that was actually done really well, because I see people saying, oh, he's just better than Caster Ku now. He's not, because Caster Ku has debuff removal, has an NP battery, has significantly better survivability. Yeah, Babbage has good survivability, but Castraku's got the heal and the evade, and his evade will always get max value, where the invulnerability is only 1 turn and it won't always block 3 hits, right? So, you know, I will say I think Babbage is better than Castraku now overall, but Castraku still has his place. Oh shit, you're right, Rex. I actually forgot about this. This was supposed to be a shorter stream. I'll do like one or two more stages here, but yeah, I'll have to wrap up soon. I did forget about Genshin actually, which is bad. I haven't streamed it in like forever. Let's do some Old Man Lee. Let's get some of that in here. Ushi with guts is actually pretty cool. I actually like that. That's actually better than the suggestions I had there. I like that a lot, actually. Because then she has some kind of answer if the enemy has sure hit, and if the enemy doesn't have sure hit, now she just has more survivability. Dude, I don't know why, but my chat today has been full of so much, like, notice me nonsense. And I don't mean the person that just said notice me, I mean the stuff before that. Where it's like, basically someone will say something really stupid in chat and I ignore them, and they're like, oh my god, he's ignoring me. And it's like, yeah, it's because you're stupid. Like, there's been so much of that today. And then there's like a lot of chat talking about literally nothing that has to do with what I'm doing on screen or I'm talking about. So like, of course I'm not going to interact with that. Not that, Rex. Not the uptie. That is funny though. I didn't even think about that. That is actually kind of applicable to what I was just saying. That wasn't what I was talking about. I don't see this stage on Lee too much. I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's all right. I mean, I like Old Man Lee just in general. Do I NP the... You know what? Let's do it. Yeah, I probably do like his stage 1 the best. I think. But they're all fine. I don't mind any of them. The coat is a little much for me. But I don't dislike it. It's not like it looks bad or anything. But it's like, I mean, you know, doing martial arts and all this in this giant-ass coat, it's like, eh... Man, if I'd done Buster MP art, I would have killed that, but I was hoping I'd kill it anyway and I'd get more MP gain back. I've really not been paying attention to what I've been doing for most of these filler stages. I hate stages like this though, they're just boring. I don't mind the sunglasses. I think they fit him pretty well, and they're actually pretty much right up the kind of like stereotype, you know, what cliche kind of thing that they're trying to make him, right? And I think that kind of works. So, besides, didn't they add? Can't you take the? Don't they have a costume for him where he doesn't have the sunglasses? I do think Fate Extra Lee is better though. I hate to death that. That's the original Lee. Regular vanilla Lee, it was made in Fate Extra, and it's his regular assassin self, right? And we've never gotten that in FGO, and I think that is so stupid. I hate, it's him and Vlad. It's because early FGO, dude, fucking early FGO, they had this thing where there were several characters, like they didn't know how to design them, or how to write them, because early FGO couldn't be bothered to read a book, and, I fucking hate it, man. So you have these units like Berserker Vlad. That's like their way to like do Lancer Vlad without doing Lancer Vlad. So if they don't write him properly and they don't like design his MP and everything, it's not wrong, right? They did that a lot in the early days, and those units are like permanently fucked. And so now you're never gonna get like the original version that a lot of people wanted from like, because I know a lot of people that the whole reason they like Lee is because of his characterization and stuff in Fate Extra, and so they want that thing, right? And they're never going to get that thing, and that's dumb. And it's the same thing for Vlad, and I'm actually that person with Vlad because I really like Lancer Vlad and APOC, and Berserker Vlad ain't that, it's not the same. I don't care what his design looks like. Like, he's a very different character, and I don't like Berserker Vlad. And he's just, they're basically like, you know, sucking, they're like, they're like, they're leeching off Lancer Vlad, right? And but we don't get Lancer Vlad, right? It's just like, it's awful. It's like it's one of my least favorite things. Because, like, for example, we don't have Richard the Lionheart. But we know it's perfectly, you know, possible and reasonable that we're going to get Lionheart at some point, right? Where we're probably never getting Lancer Vlad or regular Assassin Lee. It's just probably never getting them. And that's a pretty bad feeling. I really don't care for Berserker Vlad. He just feels like bad fan fiction. He's like he's not just bad fan fiction, he's fan fiction that is so contrived to magically skip around the things that they didn't know how to put in FGO at the time. Right? Like it's so forced. And like you can't not see that. So it's like that makes me really not like the character. Because the design and the voice actor is, you know, I have no hate for the voice actor, but yeah, I just went Lancer Vlad, man. And what's really sad is Lancer Vlad is in the APOC collab event, and they just used the Berserker Vlad model and switch his class to Lancer, but then they can't just add that, you know. They're not gonna add Saber Kojiro, right? Like I think a lot of people would be happy if they added Saber Kojiro and he literally just looked like Assassin Kojiro like he does in the story, but he was a Bronze Saber, maybe a 2-star instead of a 1-star, and you know, that was, but you know, he has the benefits of a Saber, and he had the art is the Saber art instead of the Assassin art. I think a lot of people would be happy with that, and there's no drawback. There's no drawback. He's a bronze, so you're not making any money off of him really anyway. It's more like throwing the player base a bone, right? And then it's not much work, because all the animations and the art is already done. You have to make a background for his art and stuff like that, but like, fuck all work needs to go into this. And a lot of people want it. So it's like a freebie way to get good PR. So I'm like, I literally don't understand why they do this. And they could use another Bronze Saber. And he fits so perfectly, right? Like, he's the perfect Bronze Saber ever, because I think the whole reason they didn't have any Bronze Sabers day one was them trying to be all, Saber's the strongest class, right? Because in the early days, they tried to make rarity mean something, which they gave up on that pretty fast. But in the early days, they did try to make that a thing. And I legit think that's why there's no, there's no Bronze Sabers. But obviously they don't care about that anymore, because, I mean, they got Jason now, and even if you wanted to stick with that, Kojiro still works, because Kojiro's like that abnormal servant, and he's like, yeah, he's not very powerful, that's why he's a bronze in terms of stats and skills and stuff, but in terms of like his like actual skills as a person, right, like his own like ability, you know, he's incredibly, you know, he's like the most skilled thing ever, right? So that'd make a great Bronze Saber. So especially because he's canonically can be a Saber, and he's been canonically capable of being a Saber since Fate's Stay Night, so like there's literally no problem with adding it. I think the reason they don't add it, I think this is why they don't add Lancer Vlad, and this is why they don't add regular Lee, is because they're like, oh, it's so similar to what we already have, no one would really care, right? It's like, because we got Lancer Lee, right? It's basically the same thing, and we got Berserker Vlad, it's basically the same thing. And what they're basically saying is, like, you know, somebody wants, you know, pie, and you buy them cake, and they're like, it's the same thing. No, but no, people want fucking Lancer Vlad, and they, I don't think anyone would care, you know, if they don't change them too much, right? It's okay if Saber Kojiro is pretty much the same as Kojiro, right? Because, like, they don't want to, you know, go through the effort, like, doing the whole thing ground up, right? That's, like, the other end of it. But I'm like, it's fine. Just add them, and people will be happy. Like, shit. The pie is not cake. It's not. How did somebody just say that? Wasn't Kojo an assassin in Fate Stay Night? No shit, Einstein. You know who was a Lancer in Fate Stay Night? Ku. You know what they also said that he could be in Fate Stay Night? A caster and a berserker. And oh look, we got caster Ku eventually. Wow, what a concept. It's like we've had multi-class things since the inception of Fate or something. Now what's funny is because the first examples we had of this was Ku and Kojiro, for God's sakes. Yeah, Ku, as far as I'm aware, unless I'm mistaken, Ku was the very first time that they talked about multi-class stuff. And the reason I say it's Ku is because it was mentioned in the Unloaded Blade Works route, which you have to do before doing Heaven's Feel. And then that stuff obviously comes out before the character material books. Because a lot of the other stuff that got confirmed was confirmed, you know, in the character material book, you know, and stuff after. So, like, I'm sure from a writing standpoint, maybe Ku wasn't the first thing, you know, who knows what order these things got written in, but to the user, overwhelmingly most people, the first thing they saw for multi-class was Ku. Also, like, it's so easy to see, like, with Kojiro, he's not a heroic spirit, he's a wraith, he's not even supposed to be in the Grail War, the Grail doesn't even recognize him, and at no point does he do anything that is assassin related. It's like, wow, what a surprise that his proper class is Saber. Well, so basically what happened with Kojiro is he's not fully recognized by the Grail, but he kind of is. It's like he's in this really weird gray area. And they basically needed something to fill the assassin slot. And even though he's not an assassin in any way, the Grail could kind of, like, I guess it was Medea really. Honestly, they never said this, but this is kind of what I suspect happened, right? And so some of this they have said, but I'm going to go into speculation here. So it is just canonical that the Grail does not support Kojiro. It doesn't give him mana. It did not help with his summoning. The Grail did not give him his class skills, right? So he's not really recognized by the Grail, but he was still kind of taking up the slot. And I think that's because of Medea. And like Medea had to like because Medea cheated, that's known, right? And she literally, you know, fucked with like the way the Grail rules are supposed to be. And I'm guessing to like make her cheat work, she had to kind of do what the Grail was wanting filled. Like I think she kind of had to summon an assassin because a Saber had already been designated. Now she may not have known a Saber had already been designated, but I suspect that's what happened, right? That's why Kojo's kind of fitting into the Grail War, but he's not getting any support from the Grail and is not being recognized by the Grail at all, right? That would be my guess, right? And who knows, maybe they didn't even think about that at the time, but it kind of makes sense with how they explained Kojiro and Medea back then. But anyway, yeah, they said way back then that, you know, Kojiro's proper class is Saber, which is obvious. You know, he's a frontline fighter, he's honor bro in a way, and he doesn't do sneaky stuff, he doesn't gank people, he just, you know, dude with blade, fight things, right? That's obviously a Saber, but the Saber slot had already been designated, so he couldn't be one. So half the cheating is only cheating by the like house rules. A lot of the rules in Grail Wars aren't actually rules. They're like house rules that the families said, but they're not enforced by the Grail in any way. Now there are rules that like the families, when they made the ritual, they like, you know, carved like, you know, things in it, and so there's certain things that it's supposed to enforce. But the people with a lot of like knowledge and stuff are able to like mess with those incantations and stuff, right? Like you can forcibly add Madness Enhancement to things, and you actually can summon things that are evil even though you're not supposed to be able to, and things like that. Like there's a lot, if you're knowledgeable enough, you can, a lot of the like enforced rules you can break, and then a lot of the other rules are literally just like you know, gentleman's agreement, if you will, right? Like you don't, there's literally like, you know, servants, if their true name is revealed, they're supposed to fight to the death, right? You don't literally, you're not going to get struck by Zeus if you don't follow that. And the whole reason that they made that a house rule is because the original mage families just wanted the servants to kill each other. They literally didn't care about who won or anything. They just wanted the servants to get duped into dying so they could absorb their mana and try to get to the root, right? So that was just a bullshit rule that they used to try to, you know, get the servants to off each other quickly. That is a good Valkyrie. You know what? We'll go with it. But yeah, we'll probably, I wanted to fight one more boss, but Lostbelt 4 is just, you know, it's like the other Lostbelts where it's like so much filler garbage and not a lot of good boss fights. No, Artoria still to this day does not qualify for anything but Saber. And it's funny because if you're like a big Fate fan, you will see them jumping through hoops to make sure they're staying in line with what they said about Artoria. So it's not, they weren't vague about it. They said 100% super fact, right, in Fate Stay Night. They were not vague about it at all, that Artoria can only be summoned as a Saber. That's it, right? They were very clear about that. And so someone in chat right now is like, but there's so many other Artorias. So if you actually, you know, read the, you know, like what's behind those characters and how they come to be, none of them actually break that rule. None of them. Because, so like Archer Artoria, that is Saber Artoria. Like canonically, Archer Artoria is summoned as a Saber and is just her regular Artoria self, and then Scath alters her Saint Graph for the summer nonsense, and then after the event she goes back to being regular Artoria. She can't, she's not like that's what it is. Like canonically that's what she is. And then like Lancer Artoria is not Artoria. You know, she's a parallel world like Arthur. You know, it's not even part of like, you know, Fate Stay Night and all that. It's not connected to that universe at all. It's like its own separate universe, like, you know, Prototype is. And you know, that's why also she's, you know, quite different in a lot of ways, and stuff like that. And then like, you know, Lancer Alter is that Lancer but altered, right? All of them are like that. They're either an alternate world, you know, different character technically, or they're a, you know, it is Artoria, but she's been, you know, morphed for some, you know, bullshit reason. It's always one of those two things. Yeah, no, if you got Saber and Archer Artoria, it's like a paradox, but welcome to FGO. I mean, FGO, there's a degree of just, like, disbelief, right? Like, it doesn't work, right? For example, you can have Lobo and do Lobo's interlude, and in that interlude, there'll be other characters that you might not have. Right? For example, no, it's probably not a great example because I think most of the things in Lobo's interlude are actually free-to-play units, but Arthur's a good example. So to get Arthur's interlude, you have to actually have him, okay? That makes sense? But in Arthur's interlude, there's Romulus, Mordred, Ozzy. You probably don't necessarily have all of those things, right? But then in that story you do have them. But as soon as the story's over, you don't have them, right? And then like in gameplay, you have your units, right? And like, but you don't have them in the story, right? But like, it doesn't, you know, FGO doesn't actually work because it's a video game, and there's a disconnect. And in some video games, they're able to make, you know, like their gameplay and story sync up perfectly. FGO can't, because, and the reason it can't is because they basically want you to have your cake and eat it too. They want you to be able to play through the story and use your favorite characters and have it so like, oh yeah, I you know, these are the ones I care about and the ones I, you know, I kind of want to, you know, headcanon go through the story with. But they're not gonna write a story with every combination of servants that's ever existed in the game. So obviously they're not present really, but they are, but they're not. And it's like, you know, it's just, it's video game wonkery. If they had unlimited writers and unlimited budget, then they probably would just write every fucking character and whatnot. But that doesn't exist, and that's impossible, so they don't. Like, I'm sure if they could, like, if you could ask Nasu, I'm sure if you could snap his fingers and make it that way, where you could have, like, the same quality of writing and every story would play out, you know, based on, like, what characters you had, he would do it. But that's also completely impossible, right? And so that's why you kind of have this weird disconnect with, like, you simultaneously canonically having every single unit and canonically having none of them, right? It's very weird. Yeah, our phones couldn't handle all that too. Yeah, there's that. The file size would be insane. You can put Valkyrie in a sprite randomizer. They added that. It's not in NA yet, but it's in JP. I don't think though it'll always match your cards. I'm not sure, but I think if you do it, I don't think your cards will always match the Valkyrie, but maybe it does. I'm not sure. I don't use it. So okay, in this parallel impossible world chat, where you could have like every story was actually be written around what characters you bring, plus, you know, whatever elements are supposed to be there, right? You know, the bad guys are still gonna be the bad guys and all that, you know. But if that could happen, would you want it to be where the story would play out very differently based off what is like logical Like if you have Gilgamesh, obviously it's going to be, you know, a slaughter for the, with the extent, and there's not a few exceptions to that. There's some, you know, powerful enemies from time to time. But would you want it to be like canonically logical, or would you want it to just be, you know, yeah, pretty much everyone seems to want it to be logical, and I would too, because it'd be a lot of fun. Because if you're like, because one, it would give you a reason to revisit things, right? Can you imagine if you had this like perfect universe where every story was properly and like really hand done, where like, you know, literally you could pick the roster and they would totally change the writing and the outcome, right? So sometimes it'd get boring if you did that, you know, do Gilgamesh all the time. But let's say you raffle stomp Lostbelt 5, right? Okay, but then you can go back and do Lostbelt 5. Like, okay, what happens if I bring like these more tame people, or these really, you know, people have interesting, you know, dynamic and whatnot, you know, bring a lot of divinity people, you know, that'd almost be like unlimited, you know, fuckery with the combos. But yeah, I would definitely prefer it to be logical, because if you're like, yeah, I don't want it to just be a shit show, you just don't bring the OP stuff, right? But then you could be so, you could do so much worse than just Gilgamesh, right? You could bring Gilgamesh, Enkidu, you know, Ozzy, Edmund, you know, you could just bring like, you know, the absolute most fucked up OP, you know, Karna, all that stuff, right? You know, you could just bring an army of things. I guess you probably have to limit it to like 7, right? You probably any more than that, you just get ridiculous. But yeah, you could just pick nothing but OP things. I've seen a lot of people that wanted Limbo in 5.5. Yeah, it just kind of sucked that he's like barely even in it, and then like it'd be cool to see like our Limbo versus, you know, their Limbo. Although funny enough, they're actually the same Limbo, which is really weird. But yeah, he's a really weird case, because you don't summon his normal version, you summon the one that was altered by the Outer God, and he still has all his memories and stuff. I wish they didn't always do that. Am I the only one that's like, I feel like it's cheap and lazy, that like, and on the one hand I get it, because they know when people get attached to something, they want that thing, right? But am I the only one that, well, I guess in a perfect world you'd get both. But it's like every time you do a story where a servant is like fucked up and not like the class they're supposed to be because of like a singularity specific thing, and then when you summon them, there's like paper thin excuses for why you got that version instead of the proper one. Like they've done it a million times, where like Ivan, it makes no sense that Ivan is the mammoth saber-toothed tiger, you know, hybrid thing, and they literally don't even explain it. They don't. They're just like, yep, for some reason regular Ivan got like fused with Lostbelt. Ivan ain't this wild. They don't. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like they've done that so many times. Because like Limbo is supposed to be a caster, right? And all that stuff. And with him, if you read his bio and his voice lines, they don't explain it. They don't tell you why for some reason you summon the altered version instead of the regular one. You just do, because fuck it. And you know, sometimes they explain it, and sometimes the logic makes a degree of sense, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's obviously an excuse, right? Either way, they're just doing it because that's the one that they already designed, and that's the one that, you know, people saw in the story. So it's like with Ushi, you know, I don't think Ushi's supposed to be an Avenger. I think she was supposed to be a Saber or something. I'm not sure, but even if that's the case, they're not going to give you a Saber Ushi. She's going to be an Avenger, right? And hell, she's probably going to be her. Because what I understand, I may be wrong, but from what I understand, in 5.5, Ushi was summoned as adult Ushi, and that was that. And then she got body jacked and fucked with by Limbo, and like her body gets like possessed by all these different like spirits and stuff, and a lot of them were like people that actually hated her clan and all that. And then now she's that, right? But so like theoretically, like, because those are things that were like added to her after death, right? It's not like what you would summon, right? It doesn't work that way. So it's like when we summon her, we should just be summoning regular Ushi. But I have a feeling we're gonna get, you know, multi-spirit bullshit. I mean, I don't know, we'll see. That I could maybe see them not doing that with her, just because it'd be so easy to not do that, and Ushi is popular. But because Summer Ushi exists, I think we're gonna get the hodgepodge bullshit, whatever the hell she is right now. Like I definitely think that's what we're gonna see. And we have NP gain as a permanent debuff right now, and we have art down as a permanent debuff right now. So 100 Face is not gonna do so good right now. Feels bad. Like her loop here is not gonna work out. Yeah, basically they add new units, that have a lot of weird fuckery because of the singularity they're from, and then you summon the fuckery version just because. And I really wish we didn't, or we got both. Oh, that's a thing. Not much of a boss, only 200k, but that's something. Well, we're AoE and single target, but that'll make it more fun anyway. Do I do the quick or NP? Let's do the quick. What I would prefer they do with Ushi is make one of her stages their multi-bullshit nonsense and one of them regular. That's, I think, the best way of handling it. I think it's pretty lame, and if you like Ushi, you don't want to summon the thing that literally hates her that's in her body. That's dumb. Oh my god, I still want to do Hans' NP, but I mean, look at this. How can I not use this? Well, he got bonked. We have more serious fights with him later, thankfully. And like, oh my god, Van Gogh. We're summoning the like nymph child that's been fused with the memories of Van Gogh and then altered by Elder. That's the Saint Graph that we get instead of just Van Gogh, right? It's like, what? How the fuck is that summonable? That's stupid. Like, it's a completely different entity fused with another entity, then altered, and we're summoning that instead of regular Van Gogh. It's like, okay. I actually think there is a chance we'll get regular Van Gogh someday. Normally, when we get the bullshit version of something, we never get the regular version, but there has been a pretty big, backlash to Van Gogh, and so I've seen just Japanese people, like I've seen so many Japanese people that don't necessarily hate the Van Gogh they got, but they really want regular Van Gogh. Like I literally every time they've done this, like with Paul, Musashi, you know, Van Gogh, normally there's not that much like outcry for the regular version, but there's been quite a bit for Van Gogh, so I think they might do it. I think they might add him at some point. They should, like, good god. Yeah, I've seen a lot of fan art. Okay, we'll do this fight, Rex, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah, I am going a little overboard here. All right, what do we want to? Who do we want to do here? I mean, pretty much all this stuff works just fine. I kind of want to use Canis real quick before I wrap up because I said I wanted to test the CE thing. Like, I'm about to give her like an unoptimal setup. But I want to, it's not about her damage, survivability, or any of that. I just want to see what her average crit rates are going to be like if I give her like a 4 stars per turn, like the Canis CE, and then give her Star Bomb command codes. I want to see if that results in a pretty solid crit chance, or if it's still super right? So let me axe the Yang CE here, and then I'll give her Star Bomb, command codes, and all that, because I really do want. I want to know. I really want to. Wait, this is still bad for this because we're still gonna have quick down. I think you actually lose the quick down after this fight. I'll still try it just because I'm committed, but this really is not the right time because 1 or 2 stars starts to add up, right? It does when you do all these little things to increase your stars, and we're going to make a slightly, you know, few less stars because of the gimmick. Who knows? Maybe this is the stage that we've already lost quick down, but I actually suspect after we beat this stage, that's when we lose the quick down. So a lot of people have clearly not actually read the explanation for Van Gogh in Fate, because all of that is really off base there. So first and foremost, also hi Zaw, good timing, we're about to play Genshin Impact in a bit. But first and foremost, Van Gogh is done the way that she is done because they just wanted to do that kind of design, right? Everything else is an excuse to justify what they wanted, right? But like canonically, you know, regular Van Gogh exists, he even was summoned, he just dies before you show up, you know, so on and so forth. And then there's the whole nymph that they like fuse with his memories and blah 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 blah, right? Like, so it's like, you know, half the all the things I see people like trying to explain Van Gogh, the playable one, it's not accurate and it's already been explained, right? Not that the explanation was particularly amazing, but you know, it is what it is. So if I truly want guaranteed crits, I should give Canis 2-star absorb command codes, but that lowers my peak damage. But that is ultimately the best way to get crits. I'm gonna not do that just because I want to try it with just one first and then see what that's like. And then if I'm like, okay, maybe we need another one. This is definitely the music one would expect when having Hot Wheels fight Canis. By the way, can you imagine that fight in like in a really good anime? Like, they're both so rar and whatnot, and they're both really fucking powerful, so that would be kind of awesome. I like how they're both 4 stars, by the way, that are stronger than the overwhelming majority of 5 stars that exist. Like, it's not even close. Like, I am so confused by Canis being a 4-star because she's way stronger than the twins. Like, once you know, saw both of their bios and everything, she's way stronger than the twins, and she's in the story more than them by a lot, and then she's the final boss. So I'm like, why was she a 4-star? Like, I really don't get it. But my guess is, and this is definitely kind of the vibe I got from that interview where they talked about how they had designed Canis, like, they designed her a long ass time ago during 1.0. My guess is they had just designed her to have been a 4-star all along. They just, before they'd kind of flushed out Lostbelt and everything, I think they had already decided that this design they were making for Canis was going to be a 4-star, and then 90 years later when they finally added it, you know, it didn't exactly sync up with, you know, the story and everything else, right? But, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, Hot Wheels is a bit different, because Hot Wheels, again, crazy fucking OP, right? Such a strong character lore-wise, and thankfully he's gameplay-wise as well. Also popular and everything, but he's relative to Gajuna, right? And of course Gajuna is going to be the 5-star. And until recently, they didn't like doing double 5 stars. Like 4.5 was like the first time they did that. So I think that's why Hot Wheels is a 4-star, is just because he's relative to Gajuna. There's no condition to what rarity they become. There's none. They just they just pull it out of their ass. Ultimately, from like their perspective, I would say it comes down to sales and like timing and like, you know, sometimes trying to throw the player base a bone, because, you know, oh my god, this sucks, these debuffs. But like for instance, BB is really popular and they easily could have made BB a 5-star. Thank god he didn't give that to a he didn't give that to a fucking taunt. But yeah, like, I'm doing Leonidas first because if George gets the taunt, he has a multi-turn taunt and won't learn everything. If I kill George now, then Leonidas gets the taunt, I'm fucked. So I have to do it this way. But yeah, it's like a combination of like how popular they think they're gonna be, how nice they want to be to the player base, or not nice they want to be to the player base, what they're releasing relative to, how much effort they want to put into the animations. Like, that's ultimately, it's not a decision, it has nothing to do with lore, nothing to do with voice acting, it's completely business. It's just business. Which is fairly obvious. Even in the beginning, it was like kind of, early on, it was obvious that that's what it was, but they tried to hide it and try to act like that's not what it was, and now they're just like, fuck it, no one cares, we'll just, you know, because, you know, they do all these crazy things like Asterios being a 1-star, right, and you have Jack being a 5-star, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, and you have Romulus, you know, regular Romulus is so powerful that the Moon Cell puts him on the far side, right, and he's a 3-star, and Ku's a 3-star, and blah blah, and they used to try to justify those things, like, oh yeah, Ku's weaker than normal, and blah 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 blah. But yeah, they don't justify that shit anymore. And thank God. I'm so much happier that they don't justify it anymore. Because it just resulted in so much stupid crap. Like, and I you know, it can suck, but I'm okay with the rarity being completely arbitrary, right? It's fine. I'd rather it be arbitrary than like to make all these insane excuses all the time. Because like it or not, no matter what, it's going to be down to the business. Money talks, right? So ultimately, what rarity people are going to be is always going to come down to the business side of things. Like that's just inevitable. So if that's going to be the case, I'd much rather not have much of bullshit lore nonsense. Can I hate this so much. I'm trying to test my star gen and this just kills it, man. Like, God. And it kills my NP gain rate too. Best voice line, by the way. Yeah, fuck it. We're just casting everything here. It's one of those. Wait, we're just gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him so fast. Like, I need to test. Like, he is so not gonna live long enough for me to test what I'm trying to test here. Like, no way. I could probably kill him right now if I did Buster, but I swear to God. You know, wait. If I'm going the route that I'm going, I should actually give her Star Bomb on Buster. I could get another 2 stars that way. So you would do like Buster Quick, and then you do like NP Buster. That ultimately is more stars, and it again combos with the CE and everything else. So, I mean, this is just not a good test though. We're gonna make slightly less stars because of the quick down, and yeah, I could have another star bomb, but we can at least get a ballpark. What are we looking at here? So it'd probably be about 30. That's okay. Like, if you could consistently make 30 stars, that's decent. Because 30 stars then with a star absorb, it's like, yeah, that's not so bad. He can't remove guts, by the way. Although, actually, I don't think he NPs. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. Well, let's see what happens here. Actually, I don't. On this turn, you should definitely do Buster Quick, because you on the NP turn, you want that Buster chain with crits, because you get the crit up. Because that's where she gets disgusting, is when she has the attack up, the Buster chain, and the crit up from her NP. Like, that's what you're really looking for. So you were getting 30 stars and you don't have the Santa Ultra one? That means you could probably get to 32 then. Were you doing triple Star Bomb CE? Because yeah, you'd want to make stars, and then like on this turn you want to crit, right? Like that's the ideal. Like Arash is so powerful lore-wise, and yeah, he's not like you know, he's not Aussie tier, he's not like Gilgamesh tier, of course not, but he's a really damn competent servant, and like even Aussie is like, holy shit, this guy is good. And he's a 1-star, right? It doesn't mean anything, right? Like, rarity means nothing. Like, no offense to Atalante, right? But if you look at Arash lore-wise and Atalante lore-wise, Arash is much stronger, right? He is much stronger than her. And she's a 4-star and he's a 1-star, right? It's like, it's not, there's literally no logic to it, ultimately. Yeah, I know, Arash has like normal things he can do with his arrows that are nearly on par with an NP. It's ridiculous. And he is super strong. Like, he's like, you know, he's not like, again, he's not like Gilgamesh or anything, but he's like a Knight of the Round kind of, you know, tier, right? You know, he's a really just high-class servant, right? He's just very capable. Because like he even keeps up with like Lancelot and stuff, and Lancelot is stronger than normal, right? The Knights of the Round and Camelot in Singularity are stronger than they normally are, because you know, Lion King and whatnot. Okay, we'll wrap up there. I'm gonna take a quick break, get some food and all that, and then I'm gonna play some Genshin Impact. Really didn't get a whole lot done on this Lostbelt yet, but it's pretty backloaded. I am worried when this account gets to God Juna. That's going to be tough. Although I guess Hercules can probably solo that fight, to be honest. That's another one where the boss removes your buffs and then attacks. So you have to have a gut CE. It's one of those if you're soloing it. But Herc don't give a shit about that. And if I wanted to, I could just summon my coup and he can solo it. like no problem. I've literally done that multiple times, but I feel like my viewers would be pissed if I did that because I already have videos of that, so like, I should do something else. So I will try to do something else. Canis can solo it if she crits. Yeah, I could see that. It's probably tough though. Oh, I might mess around with that just to see what the variance is. But yeah, I could see Canis being able to do that. And Buster does do well in that fight because there's like some Buster specific gimmicks where your Buster stuff is stronger. But I'll try to do it somewhat legit because I tell you what, if they add story replay, that's gonna be pretty high on my list of a fight I want to do, like with a pretty budgety team. That's one I really want to do. And also I want to remake a lot of the stuff I did on the 1 to 3 star account because I didn't have VODs back then. Like I want to redo the Landling Horse Bendo fight and a lot of those like bigger fights that we did on the 1 to 3 star account. I want to remake those if they ever add story replay. Dude, if they add story replay, I don't. It's just I'm gonna be overrun with things I want to do from both like budget stuff and like just cool stuff and solos and like dramatic, not mirror matches, but like characters you would expect to fight each other. Like it'd be cool if they fought each other, right? Like that kind of stuff. So it's like, God, there's like too much stuff I want to do. The dream is someday I want an animation update on Tesla and I want him in P2 and I want to murder Zeus with Tesla. That's like my dream. That's like a big goal for me right now. Alright boys, we're gonna wrap up. I'll be back in like 20 minutes or something if you wanna watch me play some Genshin Impact. I haven't played it in forever, so I'm pretty hyped to finally play it again. But later everybody!